Just off the I-35 and nestled next to the Brazos River, you'll find the newly built McLean Stadium. And they say this whole homecoming thing began right here back in 1909. The Baylor line is ready for action today as the 11th ranked and undefeated Bears play host to the Kansas Jayhawks on FS1. We're live. Hi again, everyone. Tim Brando by my side is Spencer Tillman. This may be the most underrated, undervalued 11th ranked team that you and I've seen in college football in quite some time.
Well, it is odd, peculiar. In fact, I think this by week 7, we usually have a beat on a team and some sense of what their identity is. Not so much with Baylor. A lot of that can be attributed to the whole bye situation. The schedule comes up. It sets up nicely for them to dominate undefeated as they move into that Texas matchup. But I think ultimately it is that inconsistent play, having faced a ranked opponent during this stretch as well, that has contributed to that inconsistency on both sides of the ball. I'm waiting for that Bear to wake up and play from start to finish for 60-10.
And after what happened today in Lubbock, Texas, that gauntlet that's supposed to begin in late October may not be what we thought it would. Here come the Bears in the land of Sikkim. This Kansas Jayhawks team they're going to be playing hasn't won a road game since 2009. So, Spencer, they are clearly the David in this Goliath and David matchup. But they do have reason for optimism. A near miss against TCU last week, largely the optimism coming off the arm of a sophomore quarterback, Ryan Willis.
Well, he's been exciting to watch, but he has committed some errors. He had 4 complete turnovers, 3 interceptions, and, of course, the lost fumble in the near miss against TCU. But when he stands in that pocket, he can deliver the numbers big time. He was 31 of 45 for 348. Very, very nice numbers, but he's got to be able to read coverage well. You know Phil Bennett, the defensive coordinator for Baylor, is going to dial up some looks that may give him some problems. Let's see if Ryan Willis can diagnose that and then stay away from those issues.
Baylor is well rested after their win at Iowa State a couple of weeks ago. Kansas comes in smarting, knowing they should have claimed a W last week. What about this week? We will soon find out. It's Baylor. It's Kansas. It's next. It is comforting to know that they do take homecoming seriously down here. It began in 1909. Frankly, it was all about, though, the alumni. After a 6-year layoff, they brought it back in 1915. In the land of sailgating off the Brazos, the Alumni Association takes over. These activities are held all the way through 1934, and it became very much a part of the fabric of Baylor football. Beautiful setting here at McLean Stadium. Capacity, again, right around 45,000. Scorching day, really, for late October. Temperature at 86. The humidity could get up there, and it will be warm as we take a look, Spencer, at your 4 keys to today's game.
Timmy, I'm going to ride this theme. It's really about Baylor needing to be consistent. They are top 5 offensive team without it, but we've seen them struggle against SMU. They're coming off the bye. I'm curious, once again, if they can just turn that switch on and be dominant. They're getting some of their shiny parts back, namely KD Cannon and receiver Seth Russell. He will have them available. Let's see if he can deliver. Kansas needs to grow up fast at that quarterback position. We talked in the open about Ryan Willis. He really did some good things, but he's going to face a multiple front and some back-end coverages he hadn't seen before. Let's see if he can manage that.
Matthew Wyman's kick goes through the end zone. Baylor won the toss and elected to receive. They'll have it after the touchback at their 25, and here's what to watch for.
Well, it's about KD Cannon, number 9. He's back. Baylor rediscovered that quick strike style, that ability that set the program apart since 2011. Let's see if it's worthy of that, and his play in that slot position or wherever they decide to move him will step up. Brandon Stewart will be on the back end, roaming around, trying to defend and prevent him from breaking this game wide open.
This is the first time in school history the Bears have started the season 5-0 for the 4th straight year. And they go reverse with Platt off a jet sweep look. And the speedster, sophomore from Willis, Texas, is pushed out of bounds by the veteran Fish Smithson, but a nice, healthy gain on first down.
Anthony Smithson, Fish was in his hip pocket, but that's the problem. He was in his hip pocket. Speed on the outside. Chris does a nice job of racing, getting the extra yards.
Pressure this time, and Seth Russell knows how to handle it. He can beat you in a variety of ways, but it's that athleticism and resourcefulness with his legs. That's the difference. Ogletree, number 10, knocked him out of bounds and a first down picked up.
He's so elusive, so quick. He has so much fast twitch fiber in him. And as a big quarterback, he's so elusive. You get him in your gun sight as a defender, and he takes that angle away from you.
13 yards and a first down there. Shotlinwood in the backfield, and the pass is to K.D. Cannon. And he's stopped in his tracks by Brandon Stewart. Boy, he's right there, just as you mentioned, and what to watch for. The thing you notice in Kansas, Spencer, from a year ago is that they've got more depth, and defensively they're flying around to the ball.
And particularly that front four. They'll stem down to a 3-front sometimes. Let's see if that's effective for them.
Smith just got to the line to make and slid down. I do believe he's right at the marker, and it should be a first down.
And he got there, but, he slid down, as you said, in a hurry because there were 2 white jerseys around him. And to your point, Tim, it's that proximity to the ball that differentiates this group defensively from last year's over group.
Ball now at the Kansas 43. The thing to remember about this Kansas team now is they'll go with 4-man fronts and 3-man fronts. Longtime defensive coordinator and original Jayhawk Clint Bowen, still their defensive coordinator. That pass is to Platt, and he's got it at the 36-yard line of KU. Tevin Shaw, the veteran linebacker, plays that nickel spot, making the tackle for the Jayhawks.
Yeah, the senior out of Piscataway, New Jersey, was right there. And I think the point of that is you saw Seth Russell's accuracy between that zone, just nailed it.
Linwood bounces outside and has room to work with. His ability to make cuts, quick stops in midstream is amazing. That's Mike Lee, the freshman who made the stop for the Jayhawks.
Yeah, you talk about a game of inches. Tevin Shaw had him in his gun sights. He just missed him. But you look at his numbers against Iowa State, 25 there for 237, a career high. That was outstanding.
After what happened with Oklahoma State, where he struggled to get touches. And I think the shock treatment on Shock Linwood worked very well from his coaches. Russell gets ahead again into the red zone, down to the 15-yard line, and another first down is only a couple of yards away. Slant for Cannon, incomplete. Well defended on the quick slant by Brandon Stewart.
Yeah, Stewart's going to be in his hip pocket. You got your best player and your best defender. Let's see if the Cedar Hills, Texas guy out there in the corner can shut him down. They're going to go to him early and often to try to make a play. That groin has bothered him. He missed some significant time because of it. Did Cannon.
Terrence Williams in the backfield, and he breaks a few tackles and gets him inside the 10 down to the 5-yard line. Mike Lee does haul him down. Now this big defensive improvement we were discussing, Spence, for the Jayhawks last year, opponents converted 49.5% of their third down conversions. This year only 32%. Let's see if they stiffen here, make it more difficult for Williams or Linwood, whoever's toting it, between the tackle slots. That time Dorrance Armstrong, another youngster that's outstanding for this club, got a little help from Marquise Roberts. They're really happy to have him back in the lineup today. Second and goal. Russell with plenty of room. Touchdown.
Marquise Roberts, number 5, had a chance to make this play, but again, effectively play action away, sets up and heads down the other direction. Again, you got to, they stop him flanking him out and forcing him back underneath, but because of that elusive speed and quickness of the big-time 6'3", 220-pound senior, he was able to get in.
11 plays, 75 yards. And the Callahan extra point gives the homecoming crowd a lot to cheer about here in the opening moments of this afternoon's game. Number 11, and with a bullet. And like West Virginia, who made a statement earlier today, Bears hoping to do the same. Their veteran and record-breaking quarterback gets them out early. All right, Rob, thank you. For those of you just joining us, don't sleep on the Big 12 leaders. West Virginia's made a statement. Baylor hopes to do the same. Seth Russell has already done his job. You see him there talking with Kendall Briles, the outstanding offensive coordinator of this team. 75 yards, 11 plays. He culminated it with a 5-yard scamper. And the kick comes down to Lucavante Gonzalez. And he drops the ball at the 20-yard line. Let's see if they've ruled it Baylor ball. I believe they're going to say that the Jayhawks got on top of it. Cueve Gonzalez, as they like to call him, is an explosive player. Had big play after big play a week ago. Put that one on the ground. Austin Moses, the wide receiver, number 85, got on top of it to save the day for Kansas. They could ill afford that kind of turnover. Let's get a look at what to watch for, Spencer, with the Jayhawks.
Timmy, it's funny. Ryan Willis, the quarterback, said after the TCU loss that he wasn't able to close his eyes and see because of the mistakes that he made. Well, if he reads the coverage and get plenty of shut-eye, he will get that done because David Beatty wants him to read that center safety, because you know what, Ryan Stewart will be on the back half trying to prevent him to do that.
Taylor Martin is their most explosive back. And this is a Baylor team that gave up a lot of yards, 400 plus on the ground to Iowa State a couple of weeks ago. Raekwon Davis, number 19, with the stop there after a very strong gain of 8. 2nd and 2. Sophomore Willis, the quarterback who performed so admirably a week ago, albeit in defeat. Hands to Martin again. He looks to have the first down. The line to make was the 30. And it's Davis again leading the charge for the Bears.
Raekwon and Patrick Levels back there as well. There was a whole gang of Bears mounted on him. But one of the things you're going to see with this Kansas Jayhawk team is the ability to affect you with their 4-wide look right now. They'll run what they call smash routes to try to keep the vertical threat available. Look for the deep thirds. They will take some shots.
Quick out to Cueve Gonzalez. And Ryan Willis, we touched on him. Here's a young man that comes from quite a family. His sister Abby plays basketball at St. Louis. His dad was a football player at K-State. I mean, the mom was running track at Iowa State. It's a very athletic family. They're very proud of this young man from Overland Park, Kansas. And on 2nd and 7, that's a big league throw to Shaquem Barbell. And the youngster who had 13 catches last week against Gary Patterson's defense gets another first down.
Well, Trayvon Blanchard, the bandit there, number 48, was right there for the defense. But as you pointed out, Tim, that's a big-time NFL caliber throw there across the field.
Martin, this time with great penetration up front by Greg Roberts, the sophomore from Nacogdoches, Texas, is tripped up really behind the line of scrimmage that time.
Sticking with this 4-wide concept here, and I really like their thinking.
Denzel Evans, 23, is checked into the game as a running back. Khalil Herbert also in there, number 10. A very quick twitch freshman that they'll turn to from Coral Springs, Florida. On the curl pattern, it is caught. And it's down to the 45-yard line after a gain of 8 yards. Evan Fares, number 19, on the receiving end. David Beatty is going to use a lot of guys. He always does. He knows the air raid offense. Rob Likens is offensive coordinator, and Jason Phillips newly added to this staff. He had 9 staff changes from a season ago, but did hold on to his coordinators. Martin burrows ahead, looks to be just shy of the line to make, about a half-yard away. Davis with his 3rd tackle of the first quarter for Baylor.
Martin with a nice little footwork and a phone booth move there, close to the line of scrimmage, working those feet.
4th down, and they're going for it. They clearly know in this game you must score to stay in it.
Got a little sneaky blitzer coming off the numbers. They're going to talk about it and figure this one out. They need to check into a option play up top.
Why not the push? This is legal in college football today. Matt Leinart remembers it well back in our studios in Los Angeles. Wasn't supposed to be legal when the Bush push came, but it has been legalized in college football, and the Jayhawks drive remains alive at the 42 now of Baylor.
If you're wondering whether or not Kansas would have any hangover from the near miss, so far they've been methodical. They've been pushing the ball down, making the right numbers, the right calls, getting in the play, and executing accordingly. Switch route.
Oh, that's picked off. Easily picked off. Ryan Reed, the veteran, takes it to the house.
was intended for Steven Sims Jr. and Reed squatted on this ball again and picked it. That's a long throw. A lot of water in between where the quarterback has to make it. You've got to be confident, but more importantly, as we said at the top of the show, it's making accurate reads, whether it's a center safety or a cornerback that squatted, has his eyes pointed at you. He's got to make better decisions than that. Otherwise, it's going to be a long afternoon, Timmy.
Turnovers against a team like Baylor cannot be tolerated. And in those moments when your program has been in the depths of despair, you never want to hear fans say that's why we're Baylor. Baylor makes plays. Kansas now knows it. For those of you on FS2, please tune to FS1 to watch the remainder of our game. Ryan Reed with the pilfer and an easy 6. FS1 College Football is brought to you by Verizon. 14-0 our score, just that quickly after a turnover. And Spencer Tillman, who joins me, Tim Brando, happy to have you with us. This is, unfortunately for Kansas, an all too familiar early game look.
Well, Ryan Willis, we said at the top of the show what he could not do was make poor decisions, and he did that. And Ryan Reed made him pay for it with that interception that he took back. And again, I think ultimately, to the degree that they can eliminate that with their young quarterbacks, poor reads, particularly those opportunities where there is no backstop. I mean, that was just a hit your head on the goalpost kind of opportunity for Baylor, and they made him pay for it big time.
That's Reed's first INT of this year, his 4th in his career, first career pick 6 for the preseason all Big 12 pick. A young man that's got possibly a future in college football to make it to the next level. Xavier Howard has been a tutor for the young man and means a great deal to him, coming from Sherman High School after having been raised in the inner city of Dallas. There you see David Beatty chatting with his young quarterback. The commitment has been made to him, and that happened really before the last game against TCU. Montel Coatsart had been sharing time with him until then. Gonzalez is back deep. It's going to be Emmanuel Moore, number 20, that brings it out, and he is hammered at the 15-yard line. Outstanding coverage again by the Bears. Only a 9-yard return as Blake Murphy, number 81. Got down there to make the tackle.
Blake really put his nose in there. Those guys going to be making a name for themselves on special teams as Willis comes back out and try to get his Jayhawks flying. Can't make those mistakes where they really need it. Coach Beatty has gotten them jacked up in there, but it's not so much want to. This team, both defensively and offensively, has proven that. If you start looking at tackles for losses, all of those indicators that suggest whether or not your team is engaged, they're there. It's about decisions that they're not making on the offensive side of the ball.
You have to learn to win, and you have to learn how to finish. Special team woes have certainly been a bugaboo as well after 3 missed field goals that any one of them would have made a difference against the Horned Frogs. Keon Kenner, junior college transfer. Little M. Tuxes is in the game. He gets ahead for maybe 2 yards, and that's it. KJ Smith made the stop. Well, they'll credit him with just a 1-yard gain. It's 2nd and 9.
Well, KJ Smith at that left defensive end, boy, he is so active, and he knows when he has to step up when they're in a 3-down lineman to look. There's a natural gap there in that guard spot. That's his responsibility.
3 wides to the top of your screen. Willis is sacked. Didn't see it coming, and Ira Lewis is a load. 6'3", 300. The sophomore from Lamar High in Houston, Texas.
Yep, and I watched this kid play a lot. You can see him, the arm over move, and he just goes straight and gets Willis and nails him. Willis had no option there but to eat that one. Well, big Ira Lewis, number 97. He's excited about it too, Timmy. They're feeling it.
They beat this team 66-7 a year ago in Lawrence, and they are smelling a quick guillotine today. Kenner tries to give them some operating room by getting to the almost the original line of scrimmage. Raekwon Davis with the tackle, and it's a punt formation now coming for Kansas.
You know, so much yards right there. You can afford to drop 8 back in coverage and just have 3, and it looks like you're going to get gashed. But even if it's a sizable gain, it's typically not going to be enough before the linebackers can stop that. So once again, Kansas has to get rid of the ball.
Cole Moose to punt it away. Had 4 punts for an average of 43.3 yards a week ago. That's a thing of beauty. Look at that end over end.
Wow.
Now it will roll dead. I think for a moment there the Jayhawks were wondering could they catch up to it before it got to the end zone, and they did. That is an 82-yard boot. Did you hear me?
Oh, that's
I said
incredible,
82-yard boot. Seth Russell, though, can navigate 82 yards in a heartbeat. He already took him 75 in 11 plays before we joined you, or you joined us. 14-0. Number 11 Baylor with the early lead. Already a long drive of 75 yards and a pick 6 for their defense. And homecoming is off to a fantastic start. Percussion section is loving it. Seth Russell, though, will begin this drive after the 5th longest punt. Hard to believe it's that far down the list. 5th longest punt in Kansas history. 82 yards from Cole Moose. Chuck Linwood is in the backfield. And they go a fumble in the end zone on the jet sweep. KU will have it. May score. I think they'll rule the recovery at the 1-yard line. Platt put it on the ground, and Courtney Arnick, number 28, senior from Carter High School, comes away with it.
Well, if it's a forward
pass. I think they
pass,
may say it might have been a pass. As opposed to a handoff. Yep, they're going to say it was and it should be.
Yeah, it is.
Upon further review, yes, that is a shovel. So that cannot be a fumble. I allowed the officials to get to me there.
Yeah,
I did.
It's a version of the old Utah pass, but the fact that he pushed it out, again, it's just like a push pass in basketball. That is an incomplete pass.
And Kansas fans are uniting and saying, yeah, of course it is. Yeah. They're saying, yeah, of course that was not a fumble.
Dana Holgerson of West Virginia reintroduced that play back in.
Yeah, he did.
About 3 or 4 years ago.
The officials got to me there because they immediately whistled and said the ball belongs to Kansas at the 1-yard line. Linwood ahead to the 4, trying to get a little room, because you say to yourself, oh my, why would you run that play there at that spot on the field? And it's actually a safer call knowing it's a pass.
Well, Kendall Browse, the offensive coordinator, made that call again. I think it speaks to the unconventional nature of this team. More likely to run the ball in situations where you wouldn't think they would and pass it alternately.
Well, Linwood got a big hit there. Boy, Arnick lost his helmet. Mike Lee also came in there, and I believe they're short of the line to make, and will have to boot it out of there. So a break there for the Jayhawks to hold them a yard shy. Not even this offense is willing to go on 4th and 1 from their own 12-yard line.
You're right about Arnick, the big senior down the road to Texas, man. 6'2", 215 pounds, the senior, bringing the load heavy.
Drew Galitz will boot it away. He doesn't get too many opportunities. Only 2 punts in the game with Iowa State, but they were both boomers. Just under 45 yards he averaged that day. Quibi Gonzalez with a fair catch. He was knocked down by his own blocker, who I believe was pushed into him there. The up man, Colin Spencer, was actually hit by the defender, and he in turn then waylaid Gonzalez. And he is on the ground and pretty dinged up, I think. 37-yard boot. Obviously no return. No flag, and there shouldn't be. We'll be back. Beautiful setting here in Waco, Texas, and very warm. Temps will be up to 90 degrees before the afternoon is complete. Baylor leads it 14-0. But great field position here for the Jayhawks, trying to take advantage of that 82-yard boot. You see the fans and the cool along that sideline, and believe me, it's welcome for the Jayhawks. It would be a factor for that team, you would expect, late in the day. Taylor Martin is in the backfield now for Ryan Willis.
Nice.
Rolling to the right, he's got plenty of room, and Willis will slide down after a gain of 3. Raekwon Davis has been very active so far in this game, involved in 5 tackles already, a handful. Both give him just 2 yards, so it's 2nd down and 8.
Yeah, the junior from Rockwall, Texas, has been busy, and I think he will continue to be because of the scheme that Kansas wants to do and work in the short side of the field now. Let's see if they come to the trip side. A lot of room to work with. Pressure.
Ball is tipped high into the air, and that had interception written all over it. It seemingly hung in the air for an eternity, but no one could find it. Batted down at the line of scrimmage, and pressure was coming.
Part of the reason you had 7 guys in that quote-unquote tackle box from tackle to tackle, those silver gold helmets are their part. You can see Raekwon coming in, number 19, Raekwon Davis getting the hand in the face of Willis as well.
Well, Roberts actually got it with the headgear. The pass went right into his helmet. That's why it bounced so highly into the air.
More pressure.
And a quick slant that is caught by Gonzalez. And the good news for KU is that the young man who looked to be laid out after trying to receive that punt and having his own blocker run into him makes the stop, and they're going to go for it again on 4th and 3.
Love the decision. Chance was the safety was the one that made that tackle, but for his presence, the last line of defense, it's Katie bar the door. That's a score for Kansas.
Gonzalez is so fast. Career high 8 catches for 131 yards. One long play where he exercised his open field capability. 3 for 7 on 4th down conversions this year. Willis looping it deep and incomplete. Markers down. They could get bailed out. Evan Fairs, 19, the wide receiver. And Graylin Arnold, number 4. He's suggesting it's offensive pass interference and a push-off. It may be.
Well, there was some contact there. Both of them were fighting for it.
Pass interference. Number 19 of the offense. That penalty's declined. Ball goes over on downs.
I'm curious as to the call, Spencer, with that down and distance, why you would run that particular route and try to make a big play.
Well, you probably just want to take a shot down stairs. I mean, I don't really fault him for it. It's an aggressive move. There's no question about it, Timmy, but I think they want to send a signal early that they've got confidence in their full array of plays, and more importantly, the skill set of the players playing those positions.
Well, that's a good call. That's pass interference on Fairs, no doubt about it. I think you got to go and try to move the chains and keep the drive alive. Giving Baylor a 42-yard line to scrimmage from, already down 14. I don't know if I like that call. If you're going to go for it, move the chains. Williams ahead for a couple. It's that defensive front, Spencer, that's been looking so good. Davis 99, Daniel Wise 96, and certainly Dorrance Armstrong really done well for Clint Bowen. He glowed about that group when he spoke to us earlier this week.
Damani Mosby is another one in there as well. Chasing on the backside there in the 13.
Beautiful pass and catch. Links Hawthorne on the receiving end, and the first down all the way to the 32 of KU.
Yeah, but that's that front four. Tim, just to kind of wrap up that last point you were making about the questionable call. Look, I think confidence comes from demonstrated ability, and what Coach Beatty has seen from his offense all week long is what he's got to go with in game situations.
There was a bump, but I think it was an inconsequential one between Zamaro and Courtney Arnick, number 28. It goes incomplete, so it's 2nd and 10. I hear you. I do. But this is a team that hasn't won on the road in 40 tries.
And you're suggesting that they behave like one.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying just the opposite.
Yeah, Seth Russell inside the 30 to the 26. Yes, I'm suggesting there's a reason for that. Fish Smithson made the stop at the 26-yard line. 3rd down and 4 coming up.
You know, your point's well taken, Tim. I just think sometimes when you're asking your team to be something that the record does not reflect, they just won one game in almost a year and a half now. Start acting, walking, and talking like what you want to be. And I think that's a calculated risk, a risk. You are correct there, but I think it's calculated.
I'm with you. And it won't be the last time I disagree with you.
I'm shocked at that.
Play fake to Williams, looping it long for Platt. Oh, he got turned around, looked over the wrong shoulder. It was clearly going to be a back shoulder throw, and Chris didn't pick up on that and didn't find it in the air until it was too late.
Well, it's tough to kind of relocate balls working in that slot position. He saw it was over his shoulder. Platt turned the opposite direction, just could not locate it. He had plenty of room to work with.
He did.
Which you will have in that slot position. I love the little skinny post route.
Well, eschewing the 43-yard field goal. They'll go for it here on 4th down and 4.
And this is what they do. This is Baylor. And this is, for the average person looking at this, they say, this is atypical. What are you doing? Well, this is Baylor.
And Seth Russell with wide open spaces. That's why you do it. That's Baylor football. Touchdown.
Timmy, in our meetings, we asked Seth Russell, said, how many people get confused and think you guys are a passing team? He smiled and grinned. This is one of the reasons why they're not a passing team. This is a design run call by the quarterback, and again, showing no ill effects of the neck injury, no fear or concern if your Bryles making the call. I think KD did a nice job of putting him in a position to make a great play, and with the speed and elusiveness of the big guy, Russell put it in for the score.
Callahan for the extra point. This drive, 6 plays, 58 yards, 1:33 off the clock. Well, Clint Bowen asked his team, you think if Baylor is a passing team, raise your hand. About 70% of the guys did. He said, well, guess what? This is what they do, and they do it about as well or better than anyone. Back to class goes Kansas, trailing 21-0. 21-0 our score. Baylor with the lead. The clear leader of this football team, who went through so much during the summer after a mission trip, learning of the circumstances that the program would face with all the issues off the field. They are living on Baylor Island right now, just trying to win games in advance. Kick comes down to Quebe Gonzalez. You see with the marker down. And we'll check on the flag with the ball up at the 25-yard line after the return by Gonzalez. Eddie Shelton is our referee.
During the return, holding number 16 of the return team at the distance to the goal. First down.
Now let's get to a Carl's Jr. and Hardy's game break with Mike Hill in Los Angeles.
Man, they are breathing a sigh of relief in Death Valley tonight. NC State forcing third-ranked Clemson into overtime. Wolfpack needed a touchdown to keep it going, but Ron Finley picked off by Marcus Edmond in the end zone. Tigers are celebrating 24-17. Remember, NC State missed a 33-yard field goal as time expired in regulation.
Hello, how do you do? It's college football. Nothing is automatic. You wonder about perhaps a hangover for Clemson. North Carolina State's played very well for Coach Doran, who came over from Northern Illinois. Keon Kenner is stopped by Taylor Young. The suddenness of the junior from DeSoto, Texas. #1 for Baylor. A career-high 17 tackles and 8 solo in that game with Iowa State we had 2 weeks back.
Well, he came down that line of scrimmage, boy, with no responsibility to block, or rather to contain. He was intent on making that tackle. He made an outstanding play.
Back to that point on NC State. That's a program like so many others in the ACC, really improving. Passes on the out pattern to Gonzalez, complete. The junior from Cedar Hills, Texas, in a lot of ways a homecoming of sorts for him to have an opportunity to play in this game. Very dynamic. 15 yards on the reception there.
Well, they call him Quiv, and he's got a lot of quick-tick fiber in him. They're trying to go to him often today.
Quiviante Gonzalez. Right on cue, gets it again, and that time he attracted quite a bit of attention, starting with Grayland Arnold, #4, and he had a lot of help.
The beautiful thing about this core, whether it's Steven Sims Jr., all of them, the tight end included, Ben Johnson, Willis is comfortable throwing to all of them. The slot guys, the tight end, that makes them dangerous, although they haven't shown it today.
Turnovers have been the problem. 2nd and 10, they swing it out to Evans, incomplete. Pass was thrown a little behind him, and he got tagged by Trevon Blanchard. Trevon has had 7.5 tackles for losses this year.
Well, Trayvon, if he were playing the ball, he actually could have squatted on this one and picked it again. This is just a poor decision to make this throw in the first place, and Phil Bennett is looking on, and he's licking his chops right now. He wants to deliver pressure. This is exactly what he wants, 3rd and long, and I'm shocked if they don't blitz here. They're creeping up to the line of scrimmage with just 4. Maybe they play coverage.
Yep. Well, they got a little premature movement by Taylor Young moving the way he did.
False start. Number 62 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
You know, they moved Banks from one tackle to the other. Hakeem Adeniji, 78, a freshman, is playing at the left tackle spot. Banks moved over to right tackle. But Taylor Young deked him a little bit there and forced the premature movement and the false start. So a bad situation is worse 3rd and 15. Willis gets away from pressure and is hammered about a yard shy of the line of scrimmage. Raekwon Davis gets him at the 21-yard line, and they're 0 for 4 on 3rd down conversion opportunities today.
Yeah, Jamie Jacobs worked him out of that pocket again with pressure from his left side. Our right side, as we're looking at it, and forced that one.
Cole Moose, who hit an 82-yarder his last try. This time goes with a tight spiral as opposed to the end over end, and it's Tony Nicholson at his 26. He has the edge. Really stepped out of bounds. His own momentum carried him out of bounds at the 44-yard line. That's where the Bears will take over. Well, coming up next, the National League Championship Series begins. It's the Dodgers facing Chicago in Game 1, only on FS1, sponsored by T-Mobile One. Well, a remarkable game that was the other night with the Dodgers moving ahead. As you look at where they are, it's been a long time for these teams. How about that? The Cubs, this is the area in the playoffs that's been problematic for them.
Postseason,
yeah, the NLDS they've handled, the NLCS not so much. From Bartman backward for that organization. That was an incredible game that Kenny Albert and company had the other night. Kept me up late. That's Cameron Rosser, the original walk-on defensive end that got banged up on that play. They hope to get him back because he's been very vital for this club. He led them with sacks last week. He had 3, most by a Kansas player since Jamie Holt in the 2008 Insight Bowl.
Ross is an interesting story because the guy didn't really start playing football until late, but he's been producing like he's been a regular starter.
Jermichael Hasty in the game. Coming out of the backfield that time, Russell just unloads it as he got some serious heat from Dorrance Armstrong, number 2.
Yeah, E.C. Halani is also in there, number 6. Boy, he's a heavy body in there, 6'3", 325 pounds. Watch E.C. gets in there after the rip technique. Armstrong got there first, but E.C. was there to make sure he doesn't escape.
2nd down and 10. Ball is tipped into the air. They were looking to find the tight end, and it fell incomplete. Tecklenburg, 88, the redshirt freshman, the intended receiver, and he's down on the ground.
Tecklenburg is working out here. A nice little hook look-in route. Got a little pop there, but the ball was clearly deflected out of the hand. And
Marquise Roberts deflected it.
That's a tough one. That's a rib
number
shot
5.
there.
Yeah, he did take a rib shot. By the way, this Baylor offensive line and the tight ends were stuck in the elevator of the hotel nearby that we were staying in last night for well over an hour. Nearby Hilton Hotel, which is about a mile or so from the stadium. And I think you see nothing but offensive linemen and the tight end. I'm guessing no one on the offensive line was less than 300 pounds.
I'm going to suggest that they get stuck in elevators from the rest of the season now because it hadn't affected their offensive performance.
They didn't get to the 2nd floor, and it took a while for security to work it out. I ran into one of the O-line coaches today, and he says, well, if we have a great day today, we're going to consider a few things.
Imagine being locked up in a place with 7 guys. The lightest is 6'5", 310 pounds.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I thought I was done with all my prep for this game until that happened. On 3rd down, Russell. Over the middle, incomplete. It was right there, too. Katie Cannon did not reel it in. The ball was airmailed just a little. And a punt formation coming for Baylor on 4th and 10.
Well, Cannon's got speed, but he's coming off that little tender groin. It's caused him to miss a couple of weeks, but I'll tell you, Seth knows he had a little bit too much on that one. But if there's anybody more equipped to take it to the house, it would have been number 9 at that X-receiver position, Katie Cannon.
Well, Laquiviante Gonzalez is awaiting this boot. Russell, by the way, is 4 of 11 for 48 yards now. Very effective on the ground. His rushing yards are almost the equivalent, if not better, than his passing. 60 yards and rushing, a couple of touchdowns. Gonzalez with a fair catch, and he makes it at the 7-yard line. 49-yard boot. Well, this is what you're up against at a program like Kansas, and they are improving from a talent standpoint. There's no denying that. But just look at the numbers. 14 straight conference losses. 23 against ranked opponents. Their last win coming against Georgia Tech in 2010. And the away from home issue, 40 of them, 37 of those would be real road games. The other 3 at neutral sites.
Well, the way you coach against that, if you're Coach David Beatty, you say, hey, look, guys, we were giving up 46 points last year on average, 560 yards per game. Today, this year so far, they shaved 13 points off that, only giving up 33. Meantime, 419.2 yards. That's 141 less than they did last year. So there's progress to be sure.
Taylor Martin, he's really, of the running backs between the tackles, been the most explosive for the Jayhawks so far this year. KJ Smith, the junior from Frisco's Centennial High School, making the stop. We have come to the end of one quarter. The Baylor Bears looking to remain undefeated and shooting up in the rankings, along with West Virginia, who made a tall statement today at home, or on the road, I should say, at Texas Tech. We'll be back. We welcome you back as we prepare for quarter number 2 here in Waco, Texas. Baylor Bears having their way against the Kansas Jayhawks. Game 2 of our college football Saturday on FS1. Rob Stone and the guys are really busy today with action not only here but also on Fox with that USC game to boot. Plenty of scores and highlights coming up at halftime. Taylor Martin. He gets it out to the 19-yard line, maybe the 20. It's a first down. Avion Edwards, number 20, made the stop. We had a chance to visit with that young man yesterday. Very pleasant experience talking with Avion. He's one of the leaders of this club. And when pressed on the circumstances they faced, Spencer, you could really tell there's resolve with this team, especially the veteran players.
Well, there's no question about it. He's the leader on that back 7. I mean, he's that front 7, rather. I think he's the type of player that gives you a sense of confidence if you're Phil Bennett, that they're in good hands. All of the white noise that's taking place off the football field can be distracting, but his maturity, his age, and his sense of a big picture is what really gives him comfort.
Davis stops Gonzalez for a loss. Back to the 12-yard line. These little swings and hitches out to the edge are not working against the speed of this Baylor front 7, Spencer. They are absolutely sniffing out everything Kansas does when using the width of the field.
Well, they really are doing a great job, whether it's the corners or it's levels at outside linebacker number 21. They've just really deployed some of their best assets and matched up personnel-wise with Kansas to neutralize all of their assets.
Herbert and Denzel Evans had come into the game, and Kansas will take a timeout. Field position has not been a strength, and when it has been, questionable play calling has hurt Kansas. FS1 college football is presented by Verizon. Along with Spencer Tillman, Tim Brando, happy to have you with us here in Waco, Texas. And you know, we had a long visit yesterday with Seth Russell, Avion Edwards, Coach Grobe, and Phil Bennett even at the walkthrough. I get the feeling that this Baylor team is just living in the moment.
Yeah.
And they're on an island, and they know that with each passing week, the more they win, the more scrutiny they'll have.
That's a great example, because they're like little archipelagos, little islands, man.
Yeah.
They're kind of sequestered away.
Yeah.
And I think to be effective, they have to be. But the problem is there's the outside perception. And again, as you and I have talked often about off camera, the more successful this team becomes, the more difficult operating that way is going to be.
And here's the issue for Willis. A lot of pressure and unable to get rid of it. Last week against TCU, you can make a case that the last field goal miss would have been made had it not been for an unfortunate sack that Willis absorbed. And here again is another problem. This and turnovers have been the issue.
It was a crazy thing about this was the pressure. It was actually a 4-man front, and again they did it with a combination of big and little personnel. It wasn't 3 heavy down linemen like you would expect down here. So again, Phil Bennett is dialing up some unique, very creative pressure.
This is the best
once
start
again down here.
Yeah, this is the best start, Spence, defensively that Baylor's had all year.
Yep.
They've given up a lot of yards in opening quarters. And on 3rd and 22, they give it to Martin to
Taylor
try
Young.
Young's all over the place, number one. The quickness of those outside linebackers has been fantastic through the course of the early going here.
And that last play by Taylor Young, I mean, he had a career-high 17 tackles, 8 solo last versus Iowa State. He came underneath all of his responsibility in that last play and just made an outstanding effort to deny Kansas.
Nicholson awaits the boot from Cole Moose. Has it in midfield. Look out. He does manage the 35-yard line of the Jayhawks. So a 42-yard boot and a 14-yard return.
And a shorter field for these Baylor Bears, man, who are prowling right now. And again, I think the only thing we haven't seen that we talked about in the open is them unhinge KD Cannon at that slot position, but they haven't needed to, in part because of what Ryan Willis, the quarterback for Kansas, has gifted them with the interception, and then Russell has run one in for himself and then found some other options.
Well, they have had a couple of punts, but they did score defensively to go with it. That's why the lead is 21. Ball is at the 37-yard line. And if you were David Beatty, this is your worst nightmare. Surrendering the football to Baylor on this side of the field again. Platt gets it inside the 30 to the 29-yard line.
Yeah, you can just see Damani Mosby, number 13, the defensive end, the left defensive end, and Platt just ran by him like he was standing still. That's something we haven't seen when Kansas has been on this near double-digit tackle for loss run they've been on.
Looking for Cannon in the corner. Overshot him. Just needed a little more air underneath that one. Brandon Stewart was there to provide the coverage. A little more air, right, Spence?
Yep, just a little more. Nice soft cushion, but you can see Brandon Stewart turns and just bails it. I mean, he's in his hip pocket, and you've got a great opportunity to hit your quarterback just beyond the outstretched arms. Nothing Stewart could do about that one.
Chuck Linwood has come back into the game. 3rd down, a yard to go.
Trying to get some communication. The shot is on the wrong side of the ball. Direction out.
Yep, right to him. I think the communication was, hey, shot, move over.
You're getting the ball.
This just in.
You're getting the ball. Get over here. We finally got lined up a direct snap. Draw right up the middle, and they gutted him, but it almost didn't happen.
Incomplete, intended for Ishmael Zamora. It's really funny. Linwood had such a bad outing, and Russell really is the leader of this team and the conscience of this team to go with it. And he has a way of just a swagger about him, Spence, that the other guys really pick up on. It's a quiet confidence. That's the tight end, Furbacher, 85, who makes the catch at the 17-yard line. And we asked him yesterday, I said, when you're in those situations on 4th down and you're being told to go for it on your own 28, he says, well, I just kind of make some hand signals over to Coach Browse. I never want to give the ball up. He never wants to punt. Linwood, nothing doing this time. This is a stout defensive front. That front 3 or 4, depending on what Clint Bowen, the defensive coordinator, wants to go with, has been pretty effective today.
I think Courtney Arnick helps him too at that will linebacker position. Again, a lot of times he doesn't have to come off the field. Number 28 will stay on the field and provide a very effective run stop opportunity as Bowen looks on.
Yep, he now knows that on 4th down and a long 4, they're going to go for it here. And it's Baylor that calls the timeout. Clint had a chance to interview for the head coaching job before David Beatty got it, but they were both friends, had worked together as assistants in the past, and it's a quality marriage between those two.
Yeah, and Coach Beatty just loves him because he really, after last year's performance, look, the bottom line is the numbers were a true indicator of who they were or were not defensively, and he combed the nation looking for solutions. He talked to everybody about how to remedy their problems. Did some things schematically. They will bring in 3 and 4 down linemen and leave them in the game, not change personnel as much, which helps them. And it settles the players down, because when you want to make changes with your scheme, you first of all want to make sure your guys can absorb that knowledge base. And if they can, you can get them comfortable. If you get them comfortable, you can get them productive.
Well, that long 4 has officially become 5, and Baylor's decided to kick. After the timeout, Chris Callahan will come in to boot it away. 36 yards the try from the right hash. Oh, I think he hooked it. That was a very bad hook by Callahan. Against Iowa State, he made the game winner from only 19 yards, the second game winner of his career. He missed a couple of field goals in the Rice game and was involved in a little bit of a dust-up on the sideline, you might recall. Naha, senor, this time. A win for Bowen. We touched on it a bit earlier, Spencer. Not many teams have done this in 4 consecutive years. Now, critics would argue the level of competition, and even this season, the schedule is part of the unknown. The gauntlet for them really begins at Texas on the 29th after yet another open date after this week's game. But still, you wonder sometimes if Baylor's not guilty of getting bored. Sims takes the pass and gets out to about the 25-yard line. Second down coming up.
Tim, I think that's a great point, and we talked to several players yesterday and coaches about this, and it's almost, you know, they kind of remind me of my neighbor's cat. He's got a cat named Felix, and I play with him, and the guy's just all over the place, and then he'll just stop. He gets bored, and he just doesn't want to play anymore. I mean, this team, when it has a carrot dangle in front of them, is outstanding. But when the threat is not there, they just kind of die down a little bit.
Khalil Herbert gets the first down beyond the 30 to the 31. Davis again on the stop, and that's the man Jim Grove charged with really being the facilitator and administrator of this staff that he inherited. There's really no one that's been asked to do anything quite like this. You really could not even, in the post Bobby Petrino situation with Smith at Arkansas, not at all similar to this, and yet it was an entire season that he took over. But he's inherited a staff that's intact, some veteran players that are all returning, but very little depth.
Love this
beautiful pass by Willis, and it's caught by Jeremiah Booker, 88, sophomore from College Station, Texas. Big first down, a 27-yard gain.
Love Jeremiah Booker, man. Great long athlete. After this speed play, maybe we'll get a chance to take a peek at that, because that was sweet.
Full extension. Herbert remains in the backfield, out of the gun. Willis. Oh. Another pass intercepted. Ryan Reed again. Look out. He could go to the house again. It's Willis that saves it inside the 20 at the 19. And the reaction of number 13 tells you all you need to know. And it's been that problem between the hashes, sim routes, that have been the problem for him.
He was trying to find Bobby Hartzog, who was working on that inside slot position, but once again, that ball was thrown on his back shoulders, not in a position where Hartzog even had a chance at making that play. A poor read by Willis again. This is the third poor read we've seen, the second of which resulted in an interception. Wow. And he likes to get his nose in there, but it's tough, man. He's trying to make a play on the back end of that,
yeah. But his feelings were hurt on that one. His feelings were really hurt on that one. Shock Linwood bouncing outside. Runs out of terrain. This KU defense is impressing me, Spence. Mike Lee makes the stop. This young man should still be in high school, Mike Lee. In fact, homecoming is set at Landry Walker High School in New Orleans in a couple of weeks. And it's instead he's spending homecoming at Baylor at the collegiate level. Got his first start last week. Shock Linwood ahead for a couple. Courtney Harnick makes the stop. They've been put in harm's way, this defense, by a mistake-laden Kansas offense.
Yeah, but the hallmark of this stretch is they've always been on. So just watch the body language of this front four in the back half and see if they stay engaged.
3rd and 8. Looping it from the corner for Platt, incomplete. Jayhawks defense comes up big again.
Now Chris Pat, that ball was just beyond his reach, and again Russell put a little bit too much air underneath that one. But again, I think the fact that the coverage put him in a position where he could make that score is the indictment. This Jayhawks team just doesn't have the back end speed to match up with Baylor.
Well, a few bluebirds as they bring Callahan back out. I got to tell you, they're so used to going for it on 4th down here, but the truth is, you got some tough games coming up.
That's right. You got
to get Chris Callahan's confidence back. This time from 34 yards. Wow, he did it again. David Beatty, Clint Bowen, very happy to see no harm after yet another turnover committed by the Jayhawks. And the problems continue in the kicking game for the Bears. They've got to right this ship before they go to places like Austin, Texas, and others within the Big 12. If you want to play with the big dogs, the Bears special team better get going. We are back in Waco. Baylor, with a couple of missed field goals, allows Kansas to sort of hang around here in the second quarter, down 21. Willis again under a lot of pressure and sacked back at the 16 by Taylor Young. Boy, he and Raekwon Davis have been unblocked most of the day. People are attempting, they're just not executing.
And what they know is Ryan Willis is not looking to run the football, and so when they get down here backed up, they know that they can pin their ears back a little bit and play a little bit more aggressive down here against this tall, game, but inaccurate quarterback.
3rd sack of the day.
More pressure.
Bingo. And it's Raekwon Davis on the opposite side. It's been either 19 or 1 all day, and they are feasting on Ryan Willis right now.
Well, it's like stealing. He's going to come from distance here and here on the outside. That inside shot got him because Ryan's eyes were fixed on the front side of the field. Raekwon Davis, boy, came hell-bent for election on that one and just nailed it.
You know, last week was the first time Montel Kotsar did not play. 3rd down and 20. They are showing a lot of confidence in this sophomore from Overland Park, who did perform admirably a week ago for the most part, but it's been far from a clean game. On the quick slant, Bobby Hartzog gets it out to the 18-yard line, but it won't be nearly enough for a 1st down, so they'll have to punt again. Kotsar does have a little more dual threat capability, but he's been nicked up, banged up, injured. He had a bad shoulder surgery last year. And I think that maybe it's time for them to have direct leadership, and they've settled on Willis.
Well, Kotsar could be that guy because he went through a stretch where he had 126 straight passes without an interception. That was back in 2015. So he's demonstrated that he can be that guy, but he's got to be healthy, and I think he's still a little bit dinged up.
A 41-yard boot. Baylor will again have quality field position, but they've been their own worst enemy of late. I appreciate the love. He actually gave me some West Virginia love at halftime of the earlier game today,
well,
Rob.
You were digging on him. You were liking.
I've got them in the top 10 in my poll, and they're down at 20 in the AP, I believe. There's a crossing pattern to KD Cannon. KD can do. Touchdown.
Well, against Rice, he had 9 catches for 213 yards. Here's some of the explosiveness since he's been sidelined with that groin injury in open space. This is what makes number 9 so dangerous. After he gets the ball seated in his hands, he can create separation on the front end, and he can pay it off on the back end, and Russell's digging it. So I've got my man, KD, back. That cannon is hot. Oh, nice.
Seth Russell had 54 yards passing on the day before that completion. Cannon just got him 59 on one play. He was the next guy. Coleman gone, Cannon in. Baylor keeps on keeping on and lead the Jayhawks by 28. 28-0. Seth Russell with the touchdown pass. Equidiante Gonzalez will take this one from a yard deep in his end zone. Can't quite make the 15. Look who's down there to make the tackle. Lenoy Jones, the reserve linebacker. Let's now get a quick game break from Mike Hill. Mike?
Guys, top 10 battle in Knoxville. Number 1, Bama. Number 9, Tennessee. One thing is almost guaranteed in the Alabama game is a non-offensive touchdown this season. Ronnie Harrison picking off Josh Dobbs for the pick 6. 8th defensive touchdown this season for Bama. That put them up 14-zip. Tennessee has scored to make it 14-7 in the second.
Thank you, Mike. As predictable as anything is that Tennessee falls behind by 2 touchdowns. They have been captain comeback all year long. They had 7 turnovers, 7 at College Station, and yet had a chance to win that game, losing, in fact, in overtime a week ago.
Well, Tennessee had been playing it close to the vest up until that point, and again, just ran out of luck. And give Kevin Sumlin's crew credit. They've got it going on both sides of the ball, defensively and offensively.
You know, Taylor Martin will bounce it outside. Flags are down. Years ago, it was the grandest broadcaster of all time, Keith Jackson, that called that one the leaves begin to turn game.
Yes, that's right.
General Robert Nealon said, on the 3rd Saturday of October, when the leaves begin to turn, the boys become men in college football.
Holding. 78 of the offense. At the distance of the goal. Replay, first down.
Here in Waco this time of year, we're a long way from the leaves turning. It's warm, it's scorching, and we've got a lot of green next to the Brazos. And a lot of green now in front of David Beatty's team now with 93 yards in front of them, and that's the Brazos River. This is just a beautiful facility. The architectural design here was second to none. It's like a mini version of a lot of NFL stadiums you'd be in, like a Baltimore Ravens, by example.
It is wide open, and it gives you
really
that feel in that space. It's an excellent place to view a game and to experience one.
And the job they did in terms of taking care of the press corps is outstanding. They built this thing with television in mind. We have a snap problem. I believe we may have. Issues for Joe Gibson, the center, that Baylor come away with it. They may have.
Ira Lewis was all over it, man. He had the arm over move, number 97, and he got in there in a hurry, and it looks like Baylor's going to get it.
Ira Lewis. Boy, when misery loves company, it hit him in the buttocks. Ouch. Oh, the derriere got in the way.
Blake Blackmare on the right guard side, and then Kyle Fuller, the center's there, but Ira Lewis, the nose tackle, is the one that got it.
How'd you like to be Ryan Willis just sitting back there going, really? We can't get the ball back? That's just amazing. Wow. 3rd Kansas turnover, and that one, I've never seen one quite like that.
Big Joe Gibson wish he had that one back. Number 77 as the center. It's his responsibility to make sure it gets back there, and it just didn't. It just looked like it hit him on the inside of the leg.
Well, it's almost as if he felt like maybe Willis was under center as opposed to in the shotgun.
Well,
isn't that what it looked like?
That would be an egregious mistake because he hadn't been particularly backed up here. I understand why you would have him under center, but he hadn't been under center pretty much all afternoon. Wow. It's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that it's one thing for a team to just have more athleticism than you, but when you start to self-destruct, that's what Kansas could not afford to happen.
Eyes are wide open, and the meltdown is officially underway, and the Jayhawks are forced to call a defensive timeout. And a reminder, coming up next Saturday, outstanding slate of college football begins on FS1. Oklahoma State will square off against these Jayhawks in Lawrence. Illinois will take on number 4 Michigan on the Big Ten Network. Plus a doubleheader on Fox. 21st ranked Utah taking on UCLA. And then Baker Mayfield and the 19th ranked suddenly surging Sooners will take on Patrick Mahomes and Texas Tech. All of that next week on the Fox family of networks.
A lot of bad blood, and that last tilt there will be kind of unearthed as Baker Mayfield kind of, I know it's an old story, but it never dies. I mean, you use anything you can to motivate you. It was good to see him have a great performance today in a convincing way.
Formerly at Texas Tech, for those of you that don't know, and left, became a walk-on yet again at Oklahoma. Patrick Mahomes is the goods, though. He's been banged up a little bit this year. Got hurt, in fact, in the Kansas game a few weeks back. But West Virginia's flying, ferocious defense got the better of him today. That was a statement that Dana Holgerson's team made. Linwood, the lone setback with Russell in the shotgun. Wow. Almost untouched. Touchdown, Baylor. That is a new school record for Shock Linwood. Passes Alfred Anderson. 36th rushing touchdown.
He's been challenged as Shock Linwood to step up and be more consistent, and it doesn't matter that he's the Baylor Bears career all-time rusher. They've managed him just like they would any other of his battery mates back there. William Torrance, Terrence Williams, and all the others have stepped up big time to push him.
Alfred Anderson played from 1980 to 83. They had some great years in the 70s and 80s under Grant Taft. Later became the head of the American Football Coaches Association, and Callahan with the extra point. In fact, it was Taft who decided the man to call was Jim Grobe, given all of the circumstances off the field, to restore what was happening on. And right now, Baylor's done just that. FS1 College Football is presented by Verizon. Everybody's happy on homecoming in Waco. 35-0 with 5 and change remaining in the opening half. A lot for Rob Stone to discuss and decipher with our studio crew coming up. Gonzalez this time will take a knee. Well, we touched on Shock Linwood. His first career touchdown came against Wofford 3 years ago. Who knew then that he would soon pass Walter Abercrombie for the career yardage mark? He did that 2 weeks ago against Iowa State on FS1, and today he passes Alfred Anderson, 36th touchdown. It only took 3 years, huh? Not bad. And you know what? Not without a lot of competition, too.
Yeah, a lot of ebb and flow in that whole process. We talked about how he's been pushed. Before that career game of 237 against Iowa State a week ago, it was 2 carries for 4 yards prior to that, and it just goes to show you it's not always easy to gain yards in this conference.
Denzel Evans on first down gets ahead for a couple of yards, and that's about it. Well, the thing that you notice is, Jermichael Hasty's got some size about him. He's, for only 5'9", he's strong, in the midsection. Terrence Williams is an outstanding runner too at 6'2", 225. So getting him touches was not going to be as easy this year, even though this is not a Baylor team known for its depth. They do have quite a bit of it at running back and wide receiver. They can absorb some losses at those positions. That pass is incomplete with a marker down. Gonzalez, the intended receiver.
Hasty and Williams are complementary backs. They have contrasting styles, and I just got to believe that if you had your choice.
Holding. Number 21 of the defense. 10-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Patrick Levels. That's the first Baylor penalty of the day.
Yeah, that's pretty clean. Now
go back to 5 weeks ago when we were here for the SMU game, when I believe they had 11 at halftime and 10 were false starts.
We couldn't get any kind of rhythm up here and calling the game because the laundry was everywhere. It's crazy. But just to close on the point with Shock Linwood, I think what makes him a special back and why you would want him on every down is because he is a combination of speed and size and everything you need. He's a 4-down back in my opinion.
Willis just trying to play through it now. Gets it ahead to about the 39-yard line to Shaquem Barbell. We see this cycle many times, Spencer, in team sports, and there is no team sport quite like football. We'll have trips coming to the bottom of your screen on this play. I'll get to the point I'm making in just a second, because I'm sure a lot of people tuning in and seeing this score, understanding how competitive last week was, are saying, yeah, I kind of told you so. This had to happen, right? Here's Willis. Decides to tuck it and run, gets it out to the 43. You give a wonderful performance, you do everything to win, and you can't. And then psychologically, you wonder what's left. Now you have to go on the road. This is all too predictable.
Well, this is the game. There's called the inside game. It cannot not be played. After you have the near miss last weekend, you get it put in your face the way they have today. Kansas emotionally has to respond in a way that's inconsistent with what their past has been, and that's the inside game that can, again, not be played. That's what's happening right now. David Beatty has got to let these players define themselves, and he's got to coach them accordingly.
Very difficult job. That's a beautiful pass that really should have been caught by Sims. He did not bring it in. Jameson Houston was right there with him, but that was a well-thrown ball by the sophomore quarterback. Number 11, Steven Sims, should have brought that one in.
And again, it was just a four-man rush there, but the ball was placed over his shoulders. Sims should have pulled that one in and could have extended the drive to move the change and give them a little bit of confidence that they much need.
He's the only one that could have caught it. The defender had no chance at that one. The boot by Moose is a good one. He rolled dead inside the 30-yard line. Well, Seth Russell's career winding to a conclusion. 13-0 as a starter, moving to 14-0. And a long list of successful quarterbacks here. Bryce Petty among them, RG3. I think the numbers for him in the passing game, Spencer, would be greater if it weren't for the fact that he has such innate ability to run the football. And he'll utilize that at a moment's notice.
Yeah, I think the irony, though, if you go back early in his career, he actually had committed to Kansas early on.
That's right.
And could have been a Jayhawk, and certainly those numbers you just shown probably wouldn't be as prolific as they are, but his fate would have it. He's here, a Baylor Bear.
Well, that's the same hometown, by the way, as David Beatty, the head coach of Kansas. Those two had a connection. Beatty, of course, had been an assistant coach before leaving and returning as head coach. Zamora, the intended receiver, and it'll be 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, Turner Gill was the then head coach at Kansas, and that's how, and he was on, Beatty was on Turner Gill's staff.
That's right.
That's how the connection came, going back to Garland, Texas. And when that happened, Weiss came on board, Charlie Weiss, and Seth decided to go elsewhere.
Platt's pass, a little bit airborne, a little too high for him that time. Seth not on the mark with a couple of his passes today. 6 of 18, 113. 59 for a touchdown, obviously, to Cannon.
Well, it was just a little check down route, and then because of the read, he continued on. And I think that lack of connection and communication between the inside receiver, Platt, and the quarterback, Seth Russell, caused that confusion there.
3rd down and 10. Pressure off the edge. Russell lets it fly to Lance Hawthorne. He's got it. And a first down to the 47-yard line. Tevin Shaw with the stop as the youngster Hawthorne, who multi-talented young man, had to play some quarterback when everybody got hurt by season's end in 2015.
Yeah, Tevin Shaw is a safety. You can see he just doesn't have quite the athleticism that a corner would. Just stay closer.
Jet sweep to Hawthorne, and he's ushered out at the 49.
Baylor certainly putting their foot on the pressure, on the pedal here, trying to work this field and pace and tempo, going 3 receivers into the boundary now. They may take a shot here, Tim. Empty backfield.
One more touchdown, and a lot of the starters may be in shells for the second half. That pass is tipped into the air, almost picked off twice.
Wow.
Mike Lee had a first shot at it, and I think Marquise Roberts tipped it. Yeah. Tevin Shaw is down on the ground. He's hurt.
Well, he threw it into single coverage. It was man across the board, man under, single, high safety, or zero coverage. There was actually no safety behind it. Ball was just tipped. And
Mike Lee, the young man that had that opportunity. And Seth also got hit on that play, so they're checking on him a little. As from the backside, Daniel Wise, the nose, the sophomore from Louisville, Texas, got him.
It's 290 pounds right there, and Shaw comes off the field.
Linwood The good news is Seth is all right. Linwood is back out there along with K.D. Cannon on 3rd down and 5. 3 for 8 on 3rd down conversions for Baylor and an 0 for Kansas. Impressed by this student body. They haven't left for homecoming yet. Linwood pops it. Look out. First down at the 35-yard line. And again, it's Lee. His baptism under fire continues. The freshman from New Orleans with the stop.
Well, I can just show you. He's just so neat inside that space, that tight area. I think we had 3 or 4 Jayhawks trying to defend this guy, and he can make the miss. That's why he's a 4-down back.
There he is again, dragged down at the 28 by Roberts. We asked him, you know, he did almost lose his career a year ago. He's very grateful for what he has, Spencer. What's going on in his mind when he pulls the ball down? And he said it's very quick, and yes, it is concerning. I'm always aware. Linwood on another direct snap.
Yeah, and I think that awareness actually is something that happens in real time. It's not affecting his performance. He's assessing whether or not he should slide at any given moment, and he's processing it all the time. As they get the first down, they'll move the chains, but it's because of those wise decisions, when to get down, when to throw it into coverage, when not to. And here's a little wham scream that they got a chance to get Cannon on the outside on.
And Cannon gets it inside the 20 to the 18-yard line before being taken out by Derek Neal, number 7. Backup corner from Dallas, Texas, Lincoln High School.
Really look how they've used Cannon today from inside slot position, and then they moved him to the outside to affect plays as well. And even though he's just on the numbers, Tim, I wouldn't be shocked if they take a shot here.
There's backside pressure to get Russell. And a marker down. I think Neal may have had an arm on K.D. Cannon. And Russell took quite a blow into the midsection there.
That's the second shot in the last 3 plays that he's taken. And again, it's clear to see up here what he was looking for and trying to happen. K.D. Cannon on the outside was matched up with inside shade. In other words, the guy that was defending him had given him the outside. So just toss that ball up.
Pass interference. Number 7 defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Yeah, he hooked right there.
Had that right hand. Here's the hit on Seth here. Just nails him right there in the back, and it's Bryce.
You gotta get Seth Russell to halftime and then bring in Zach Smith, right? Just get to halftime and let this kid sit out the rest of the way. Into the corner, it's Cannon, it's touchdown. It's Zamora. Ishmael Zamora, number 8, has the touchdown grab. And I really believe Russell should take the rest of the day off.
Yeah, Marnez Ogletree, the cornerback, number 10, is standing there trying to defend. He has no shot at trying to defend that ball. It's perfectly thrown. And you're right, Tim. If I'm Kendall, I'm saying, hey, I need to rest my guy here.
I'm wondering if that's not what Jim Grobe is letting him know even now. He took 2 major blows to the midsection and got up very slowly both times. Callahan for the extra point. I see a towel around the shoulders and maybe some shells on, and that's about it in the second half.
Good call.
Zamora's first catch of the day, and it's for a touchdown. Ten plays, 73 yards, only a couple of minutes off of the clock, and Zamora with a 4-yard touchdown grab. And this one is safely tucked away before the intermission. 42-0 on homecoming here in Waco. Very difficult set of circumstances for this still young and growing Jayhawk program. Trying to work its way through so much negativity that they've been through these last 5 or 6 years. Hard to believe that 2007 this team was playing in a 1-versus-2 game against Missouri. Well, don't forget, coming up at halftime, State Farm FS1 College Football Halftime Show. Rob Stone, Dave Wanstatt, Matt Leinart, and Robert Smith in Los Angeles. That team, by the way, that Kansas team went on and won an Orange Bowl game, you might recall.
That's right. Mark
I mean,
Mangino.
that was 9 years ago.
Yeah, Mark Mangino obviously did a fantastic job with that unit and kind of set a culture. Unfortunately, had some difficult things arise that affected his program, and they had to restart, and it has been uphill ever since, or downhill, I should say.
Yeah. Won the Insight Bowl with 8 wins the following year. Keon Kenner gets it out to the 29-yard line. Davion Edwards making the tackle.
Well, the Charlie Weiss experiment certainly did work, and Turner Gill had a short run as well. But I think, you know, we had this comment about
they're still paying for the Charlie Weiss issue.
Literally,
I mean, let's be clear.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, they're still paying for that. And I like Charlie.
Yep.
I've not known him for a long time, but that was not a wise choice. 2nd and 6.
No pun intended.
Yeah. Kenner remains the setback behind Willis.
Nice.
Well, open spaces there for Keon. He was highly decorated coming out of junior college at Navarro in Corsicana, Texas. And at Little Elm High School, he was outstanding too. His best run from scrimmage, 14 yards on that play. From the 43, Ryan Willis on the streak route looking for Sims. Not there.
Sims didn't have a shot at that one. The sun might have been part of it. The ball was way overthrown of his head and had no shot.
What did you make of that West Virginia win today against Texas Tech?
I thought it was impressive. I saw this mad scientist junior. You know, you talk about coaches out there. Dana Holgerson is an outstanding coach. He was working that Red Bull on the sideline, pacing back and forth, creating. He was salivating, man. He called a nice game today.
You know, Kenner is stopped behind the line of scrimmage this time. Benoit Jones, number 32, the backup linebacker, with a stop. We had them against Missouri week 1, and they weren't terribly impressive offensively that day. But, Spencer, what I loved about them was how they performed on the defensive side of the ball. I think a lot of people just don't realize the job Tony Gibson has done, the defensive coordinator, with really it's back to the future for them. Dana going and getting Rich Rod's old defensive coordinator.
Well, Tony has 3 guys that are on NFL rosters today, and that kind of lets you know some of the back-end help that he had last year and then the year before that. I mean, they're an outstanding stop unit, an elite one in the conference.
Business as usual for Baylor on homecoming with a 42-0 lead over Kansas. On the other side, we'll get you to Los Angeles for hardworking Rob Stone and his band of renown for the State Farm FS1 College Football Halftime Show. FS1 College Football is presented by Verizon. We welcome you back to Waco, Texas, where this whole homecoming thing began back in 1909. We were expecting a very competitive day in the Big 12. I think the aggregate score of the 3 games played so far, Spencer, 128-34. And a lot of that coming, obviously, from Baylor. But their defense has, I think, probably been the big story because until now, they've really not shut out anybody in the first half, the way they have Kansas.
They turned this into more like a home going in the first half. But, you know, Ryan Reed was really the culprit. Again, he did a great job of squatting and reading coverage. Ryan Willis knew that he needed to do a better job of the types of reads that would keep him away from this. And then the front just took over. Ira Lewis, Greg Roberts, and Katie Smith, all of those guys put pressure on consistently. You could see the backhand was around the ball. And again, you can see that man again, number 9, Reed, was all over the place. So it's the combination of the back end. And I would have to say that perhaps on the defensive side of the ball, this was a total and complete performance. Again, the special teams have got to put it together with the struggles that they had in the kicking game. But I think ultimately this is about as close as they got to putting a first half of a complete game together.
The number of sacks is obvious and critical to the Baylor cause. But I think with another week off, I was a little concerned that they might be rusty. You know, they had a week off after Iowa State. Now they've got another week off after this game, and clearly it's time to start thinking about their future, even now at halftime of this one. And I suspect that if you look at what's out there, that so-called gauntlet, I mean, Baylor, they could be college football playoff committee's worst nightmare. Yeah. I mean, this team has a chance to be a real factor the rest of the way. And again, the gauntlet at Texas, listen, the Longhorns obviously have issues. TCU's got their fair share of problems. I know you're not sold that Boomer Sooner is back just yet. I mean, what are the chances this Baylor team, if they stay healthy, couldn't pull off the unthinkable and get to that West Virginia game undefeated?
I'm going to repeat what I said at the top of the show, Timmy. I'm still not convinced that this Baylor team is the team that's going to carry the banner for this conference. Again, until they can go for 60 minutes wire to wire for me, they've done it for a half for the most part. I'm not totally convinced. No ranked opponents they faced so far this season. The 2 byes that they will have enjoyed in a month span will have rested them, but no one really to test them, to get that litmus test to say we are a legitimate team. And but for the fact that Kansas had the outstanding performance last week against TCU, if you wipe that away from the slate, what do you know more about this Baylor team in light of that than you did before this game?
Not much. With you there. I'm with you there. But my suggestion to you, though, is that where they're poised in the standings
they're
now,
in a great position
versus when the committee starts putting out their own standings, they are going to be a very quiet, undefeated well into November. That's Emmanuel Moore bringing it out to the 15-yard line. There's no question West Virginia deserves to be ranked higher than Baylor right now.
There you go. That's
my Baylor
point,
came in at 11 and West Virginia 20. I've got them number 9. I do a top 10 every week, and the Fox 4 poll we both vote in. There you see the story on Willis, and the interception problem is evident. But listen, I mentioned worst nightmare because every time they get an open date or they have another win, listen, we're very well aware of the issues and the image of Baylor in terms of what happened in the offseason and what they're dealing with from a news standpoint in every news cycle, week by week by week. More will be out there, and we talked with their athletic director, a wonderful guy who came over from Missouri, Matt Rhodes. He's aware of it. Jim Grobe is aware of it. And this team, more importantly, is aware of it.
Well, I would be very disappointed if that impacted them in terms of the product, in terms of how people vote on the field. What I do believe will happen is that the scrutiny will increase based on what's happening off the field, and that may impact their physical performance. But in terms of how the outside folks that are voting judge them, I'll just let their talking be done on the football field and move on that.
Keon Kenner gets it out to the 34. Bill Hancock, the executive director of the College Football Playoff Committee, is on record that the committee's job is to find the best 4 teams from what they witness on the playing field, period. Another interception along the sidelines, taken out of there by Orion Stewart. And he's a guy you expected today could have a number of INTs because of the way things have been going for Willis through the course of the year. That pass intended for Sims. 4th turnover now, the 3rd Willis interception.
That's why I call him Orion the Hunter. He's standing back there in that constellation, that secondary, looking for something that he can pluck out of the air. Did a nice job of catching that on the tips of his hand. The 6'2", 205-pound senior out of Waco, Texas. It's his home cooking as Willis takes a shot there again. I mean, they're bringing it from all angles. That's Greg Roberts, the right defensive end, that put pressure on him there to kind of usher that interception in.
7 interceptions for Willis this year, 11 for the Jayhawks. And as we suspected, at the end of the drive, Jim Grobe was talking to Seth Russell to close the second quarter, and his day is in fact done. Zach Smith, the freshman from Grandview, Texas, has come in to play quarterback here in the second half.
That's a wise choice, and I suspect the pace will slow down a little bit, but the game should be quicker, and I know you appreciate that.
I have no plane to catch today, Spence. Back shoulder throw is incomplete, intended for Blake Lynch, number 2. A lot of quality games I want to see later tonight, but I've got no plane to catch. So
I know you love what you do. So
2nd and 10. Terrence Williams is the setback. Quick screen out to Pooh Strickland.
You're the chance of Pooh out there. And Pooh, the ball's been spread around, but Pooh hadn't been on the receiving end of much of them.
No, he's a youngster from right here in Waco, played at Midway High School. Well, Seth did come out with pads on. I'm a little surprised. I thought maybe he'd be down to shells or maybe even with the pads off, but they're going to keep him on. Third direct snap of the day. This one to Terrence Williams. I think he's got a first down.
Yep. You know, a lot of times when you see guys, whether it's wildcat or direct snaps, you're wondering if they're setting up something down the road. And I think when you look at this scoreboard here, it would suggest otherwise. And you know, you can't really take it that seriously, but it's on tape and you got to honor it. So it's something to think about.
It's Williams again, this time on the direct handoff from Smith. Courtney Arnick makes the tackle. You know, the issue for Baylor long before Jim Grobe got here was the strength of schedule, particularly in the non-conference. You know, having seasons without, in fact, not having another FBS
That's right.
opponent from a power conference on his schedule. So it's not uncommon for Baylor to be thought of poorly by the so-called pundits as we've got a flag pre-snap. But I'm just going to suggest to you, Spencer, that because of the circumstances the Big 12 finds itself in, Oklahoma not playing their best, giving up tons of yards, and that notwithstanding today's game against Kansas State, Texas is a real
Ball start. Number 64 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Charlie Strong's defense is in complete disarray, and that's next up on the docket for them.
Yeah, those are your two bell cows you just mentioned.
Right, and West Virginia, by far and away, looks to be the most impressive. Well, you can warm up and play them last. That's the last game of the regular season for this this Baylor team. So they got a chance of being undefeated at the end. That pass is incomplete. A lot of jousting going on there. No flag. Jared Atkinson, number 3, the freshman from Mesquite, Texas, the intended receiver. Brandon Stewart was the guy that was tangled up with him.
And Tim, because a lot of those blue bloods are not in the fray right now in terms of the lead teams as we regard them schedule-wise, I think that's going to undermine the argument that the conference will have in the minds of a lot of people down the stretch. And that's kind of been the big challenge for me. And I'm looking at it from a 40,000-foot purview.
Yeah.
Because Oklahoma had to stumble out of the gates with the University of Houston and Ohio State. It's the struggles that you well documented at Texas. Who truly is the bell cow?
Play fake for Smith. Pass is caught. It's Strickland. And Poole gets it down to the 20. 44 yards. He's actually down at the 15.
Well, the low angle is not going to give you the full appreciation of it. Our crew does a great job, though. Poole Strickland snags this. And as a result of Zach Smith putting that right over the top with coverage, and he found a nice little cloud void there and allowed Poole to continue unabated for a nice, sizable game.
Quick wide receiver screen to Atkinson.
And again, here's another opportunity where you can see this is the soft coverage portion of the field where Zach is going to take advantage of it. The little read pulls the linebackers up, and he finds it right over the top. I mean, that's outstanding read and coverage, and the little mesh point is what caused the linebacker to step up to create that void. That's a well-designed play. Excellent execution.
Williams burrows to about the 10. You know, Strickland, another one of those really highly thought of earners from right here in Waco, Texas, who destined to come to Baylor and did so even with everything that was going on. Ben Hicks, the starting quarterback at SMU, was his QB. We had prepped with him at Midway. In fact, they played a huge state playoff game in this very stadium. First high school game that was ever played inside this stadium, Pooh was part of with Ben, who's playing for Chad Morris, who ironically also coached at Stevensville, where Art Briles made his big name. Terrence Williams, touchdown.
Double deuce power football. The guard will pull this way and create a void in an open for him. You're going to see Ishmael Wilson, the left guard, does a nice job of sifting up through there to allow Terrence Williams to get in unmolested. That was a tremendous read. The off guard blocking for him, getting out in front.
Well, the big transfer from Texas A&M, Ishmael Wilson, played at Bishop Dunn High School. And the extra point is through. You were right. They did slow down a little bit.
Yep.
3 minutes and 4 seconds. 71 yards. Strickland the big strike. And it leads to the touchdown for Terrence Williams. Zach Smith, a happy camper, visiting with Seth Russell among a few others along the sidelines. Prep All-America. Yep. Enrolled mid-year. Went through the spring. Was a 3-time All-Stater. Fantastic All-State pitcher in high school, too. And, you make All-State in both of those. That's pretty good.
Pretty darn good.
And there's Strickland Pooh. A homespun star. Got to get plenty of playing time here in the second half.
You know, Zach, by the way, threw for over 10,000 yards. And, again, you're talking about being able to have an arm that a starting pitcher has to have in a quarterback. I mean, he put in a lot of work playing both sports. 113 TDs, too. That's impressive.
Laquiniante Gonzalez back deep, number 1. Along with Emmanuel Moore. This one sails through the end zone for a touchback. Around the Big 12, and again, to speak to that big picture point we were making, Oklahoma does get the job done, and D.D. Westbrook's been the best player on the field many times over. And how about Skyler Howard today? He also ran for 89 yards in that win. But your point to circle there, man, they could go 0-3 for the first time since the year I was born.
That was 60 years ago, Tim, and it was 56. Oklahoma won the national championship. I think that was their first of 3 or 2. That was outstanding. But I mean, it just shows you where the programs were at the time versus where they are right now. That's quite a contrast.
D.D. Westbrook, by the way, had 3 touchdowns both this week and last week for Oklahoma. Kennedy. Another negative play on first down. Xavier Jones, 94, piercing through there.
Well, he was a laser, was Jones, 94. Well, he came through there again off the read, the mesh. 94, you're just going to see interrupt the opportunity there. Running back is just outstanding defensive play by Xavier Jones.
2nd and 12. Pass incomplete, intended for Bobby Hartzog, who had to become a defender that time. Tion Wright had a better chance at receiving it. With a marker thrown where it is, it might be offensive pass interference because he was trying to break that one up. Although I do see a flag near the line of scrimmage, too, so we'll wait.
Illegal formation. 5 men in the backfield offense. That penalty's declined. 3rd down.
You see the jousting at the end of this play here. A lot of contact, but Hartzog had to do that.
Yeah. Well, he had his left arm hooked on the inside.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
That's what got him there.
Right, you could have made a case that was offensive pass interference that they got away with. So an illegal formation, and it's 3rd down and 12. Willis in trouble again. Sacked back at the 21.
I'll tell you, just a 4-man rush. And again, Willis, that was a coverage sack there. Jacobs and company really corralling him in, keeping him close and tight. The 8 on the back end, ensuring that he doesn't have anywhere to unload that football.
5th sack of the day for Baylor defensively. Jamie Jacobs, 43, the sophomore from Midway and Waco. Nicholson waving everybody off. It's out of bounds, and again they get the ball plus 40 on their side of the field. Only a 30-yard boot. Baylor offense kicking in on all cylinders. The cannon is back. The trigger's in good shape on the bench. All is well. Nothing. Number 11 Baylor with the lead and the ball at midfield. Their second series of this half. Zach Smith, the freshman, sensation is in at quarterback. Coming into today's game, he was 6'11" for 65 yards and a touchdown. And is adding to that total today. That pass is complete on the curl to Blake Lynch. 3 catches for 80 yards in that Iowa State game. They had to work hard to get that one. And I want to tell you, we may find out tonight when the Cyclones play the Longhorns. They're legit. They should have beaten Oklahoma State last week.
Yeah,
Let them off the hook with another big lead. And it's only a matter of time, I think, before Iowa State gets into the win column in this league.
Yeah, Matt Campbell's getting all he possibly can get out of his team. So young, but so willing.
Jermichael Hasty with some extra effort. A late burst to get him inside the 40 to the 38-yard line and a first down. You know, there were just 7 teams with 2 1,000-yard rushers a year ago, Spencer, and Baylor was one of them. And Johnny Jefferson is no longer with the team. He had some personal issues, and it was announced some 5 weeks ago that the junior was leaving the team but would be returning at some point once his family issues were taken care of. It's an amazing thing to think about how talented they are at wide receiver and in the backfield. Smith will take a sack this time back at the 45-yard line.
Anthony Oliva did a nice job of blowing that up, and you can see again he comes downhill right here and just nails Zach as he tries to pull the ball out at the mesh point. Oliva does a nice job of shutting that down.
Senior from Renton, Washington, came by way of Arizona Western. Smith again gets free. Had that ball on the left-hand side towards the boundary where my old friend Spencer Tillman likes to see the ball carrier toted. Stopped at the 30-yard line. A healthy pickup there on an ad-lib job.
It's all about, as Katie looks on, it's all about the small things.
Oliva again with the stop of Jermichael Hasty this time. About a foot to go on 4th down. Less than a yard. It's Hasty, and it's a first down.
I love the dynamic in running back between Shock Linwood, Williams, Hasty. Those 3, they've really created a competition context that kind of governs itself, and that's really a blessing. And when you got to deal with the things that this team has had to deal with off the field, that's just one unit. That's very much a big part of what this running offense does that you don't have to worry about nearly as much. It's almost self-governing.
For the record, that was the 11th 4th down conversions of the season for Baylor.
Plenty of time.
Beautiful out and up. Smithson was there covering Lynch. Ball was not thrown where Blake would have liked it. I love the route that he was running, though.
Well, Anthony Smithson, Fish, does a nice job of defending on this play. And again, he's so smart, is Anthony Smithson. He's really a finalist for one of the awards, the Class Award. It's a national award that goes to about 30 different people, and they honor them for community, classroom, character, and competition. And he's one of those elite players that performs on and off the field, and so he's a smart cat.
We just got that word, I think, late last night and early into today. And Jermichael is slow to get up. I think his noggin may have hit the turf the wrong way.
Yeah, people think the turf is soft. I mean, first of all, this stuff has shredded tire parts in the middle on the field down there.
Let's see how he hits here.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see here. This is a good angle right here. It could be. It's slow, and it doesn't give you the sense of how much or how great the impact was. There's no question that his helmet made contact with the turf first. But that's not soft. That's the point.
Longview, Texas, about an hour down Interstate 20 to the west of my hometown in Shreveport.
That's my dad's hometown, Longview, Texas.
That's right. I remember that. 1973, I was calling Pine Tree Pirate football in Longview, Texas with my dad.
The red clay dirt and the Longview Lobos. Right?
Pine Tree was in at that time they were in at a classification 1 lower than the Lobos. Lobos were 4A, they were 3A back then. I know it's changed since then. We'll be back. Well, it looks like Jermichael Hasty's going to be okay. They were the issue clearly was with the upper body. We know that, but the helmet is strapped on again, and that's good news. As we see Some changes put in the backfield now. Wyatt Schreffler is coming to the game. Schreffler, number 31. Josh Malin's also in the game. The tight end spot, 41, and there's a sack. Some pressure up the gut that time. This Kansas defense, that front seven, whether it's a 3-man or a 4-man front's been very active today. Dorrance Armstrong, the first to get there, but Daniel Wise helped him.
Well, DeIsaac and company then on those little cross stunts up front with just 4, able to get to the quarterback. And again, Zach didn't have much where to go because of those 4 men contained him. Worked a little games inside, swapping responsibilities.
Look at that. Look where Kansas is in terms of tackles for loss this year. I mean, that's right there. Drew Gallantz is going to try a long, for him, field goal on this 4th and 15. And we've got another hook, this one from 47. He has a career long of 61. But it was not to be this time. So you got a few things to work on with special teams in that open date coming up, Coach. We'll be back. FS1 College Football is presented by Verizon. 49-0 with 6:11 remaining here in the third quarter. And look at that in the last 7 meetings, these teams. And that includes a 31-30 nail biter for RG3 in Lawrence in his Heisman year.
I think RG had about 312 yards passing that day.
Carter Stanley is coming in quarterback number 9 for the Jayhawks, and Khalil Herbert takes that one ahead. Stanley keeps it himself.
Stanley didn't have much room to run there. Again, that defensive front with KJ Smith, Ira Lewis, and Greg Roberts all over.
3-star recruit, a redshirt now in his first season from Vero Beach, Florida. Herbert remains in the backfield. So we can close the book now on Willis and his day at quarterback. Stopped by Raekwon Davis there on that 3rd down and 1. Tough day for Ryan. 10 of 19, 89, 3 interceptions. The 2 early ones very costly. One was a pick 6. Reed had it read all of the way, and they were moving at that time. Had a good drive going. It seemed after every big play there would be a negative play or turnover for Kansas.
Yeah, I think you got to give Phil Bennett credit, the defensive coordinator for Baylor. They really gave him some interesting looks, but versus man coverage, he just made poor decisions, did Willis.
Herbert is ushered out of bounds just into Baylor territory. Jamison Houston made the stop.
Good to see him clapping his hands, Willis, on the sideline, moving up and down, staying engaged. A lot of times young quarterbacks are disengaged, and their body language tells you more about their lack of willingness to stay mentally in the game to support those that are still playing. And Carter Stanley certainly needs some help here.
2nd and 1. Herbert. I don't think he got there.
No, he didn't.
Stopped at the point of attack at the line of scrimmage. You know, they call that area. Are they going to give him the first down? Wow, that's a heck of a mark. That's one of the best left foot marks I've ever seen. If you get a right foot mark, it's never a first down. You get a left foot mark, always a first down.
Well, the line judge was actually standing on the stick, so he never moved. So
tick, tick, tick. Let's just keep the ball game moving, fellas. Herbert and Evans in the backfield. On 1st and 10 from the 46 of Baylor. Herbert again. I'll give him a couple. They call that area in Vero Beach, by the way, the Treasure Coast. It's where the Los Angeles Dodgers for years had their training camp facility, and the New Orleans Saints actually, when John Meekum owned the team, had his training camps there back in the day. This young man, Stanley, earned the 8A All-State honorable mention, was the first Treasure Coast player in history to throw over 3,000 yards and 40 touchdowns in a season. So an accomplished arm this young man has. He rifled that one in there to Steven Sims. Sims has speed, big-time speed. And he gets it inside the 10 to the 9. Davion Hall saved the touchdown, 39 yards.
And it was Orion Stewart, number 28, the deep safety, who he initially beat. And Sims did a fine job of navigating after he got the ball seated for a huge gain.
I know it's mop-up time, Spence, but I like that arm. I like Stanley's arm big time. He's obviously earned a little playing time. And I gather that Montel Cozart must not be healthy, or he would have been in earlier. He just can't go.
There's a nice little check down route or arrow route coming inside, reading that it was a man there. So you treat it like a zone route. You try to find the difference between the defender that's outside, but it was actually a combination coverage. And so he shortened, did Sims, the return on his route, and it was placed perfectly by Stanley on that. That's headiness by the quarterback.
Post corner, incomplete. Harrell, the intended receiver.
That was Orion Stewart again defending on that play. You can see he's manned up, press coverage, nice bump off of him, and Orion gets his hands right in front of him to deny the opportunity there. Quarterback had a notion, the ball was well thrown. Orion just a better defender.
Yeah, he's stout.
Yep.
Ryan Reed, Orion Stewart are big-time talents in that back end for Phil Bennett, the defensive coordinator.
Long, rangy, confident guys. There's Phil there.
Former head coach at SMU, longtime assistant. He's had some great defenses in his day. Going for the fade. That one will bring a penalty flag. Intended for Hartzog. And Tion Wright and Hartzog were going at it. Preliminary indication is it will go against Wright.
Wow. Tion was jousting with him.
Yes, he was.
Pass interference. Number 3, defense. Foul occurred in the end zone. Ball will be placed on the 2-yard line. Automatic first down.
Well, Tion's got his left arm over the back. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the issue. The officials are going to call that. Bobby Herzog is there. You see his hand in the front there.
Take your pick.
Yeah. David Hartzog was jabbing him too, man. Had his hand on the front of the numbers. So, man, depending on where you are as an official, that could have gone either way.
And another quarterback is in there. Micah Long just in. Taking the direct snap, trying to make something happen on that particular play. So their heavy package includes a young man they list as a tight end. They're trying to get it in. He'll quickly be replaced again by Stanley.
And when you go with the big guy like that, you know, if you don't plan on running him, if you got 2 quarterbacks in there, you actually lose one of them because you're not going to use the one to block, so the math starts to work against you.
2nd and goal with Herbert in the backfield. Same route. Back shoulder throw for Sims, incomplete. He had a little too much on that one, or it would have been a touchdown. Sims was in perfect position to get it. The back shoulder throw was...
Well, Davion Hall was there. I mean, he was in good position. Again, you see him turn and pivot, but that ball for Sims was there. I would make the argument if you touch that one, you got to catch it.
Extend yourself a little bit further.
It was hot. It was hot, but I think it was catchable.
3rd and goal. Evans and Herbert in the backfield. Stanley out of the gun. Herbert bounces outside and a touchdown, Kansas.
Tavion Wright playing at that field corner position made a poor choice to dive at him as opposed to playing sound. He's going to come up from this position here to make a play to Tavion. He puts his head down, which is the last thing you're coached to do. He needs to work to that upfield shoulder to establish leverage and then force the runner inside. He gave up on that play.
Herbert's 2nd touchdown this year. Wyman for the extra point. Well, it all began on the reception from Steven Sims, the sophomore from Houston. Their combo receiver made a heck of a run. Yards after the catch. He yacked it all the way down inside the red zone. And from that point, Khalil Herbert, the freshman from Coral Springs and American Heritage High, gets in. There's Khalil Herbert. Finally gets Kansas on the board, culminating a 69-yard drive. Trevor White is back deep awaiting this kickoff. from Wyman. And it'll be a touchback. Let's get back to Los Angeles. Mike Hill has this game break for us. Mike.
Hey, Tim, number 14, Florida State, of course, coming off that thriller over Miami, hosting Wake Forest. DeAndre Francois to Auden Tate. Look at that grab in the end zone. Remember, the Noles host number 3 Clemson next week. Right now, they're up 17-6 in the third. Tim Spencer, back to you.
Yeah, the Demon Deacons trying to hang with the Seminoles, and that obviously brings back a lot of memories, for me anyway, of Jim Grobe and the remarkable job he did, his 2011 team going all the way to the Orange Bowl, winning the ACC with 11 wins. Riley Skinner was his quarterback. Long thought by many that have covered the game of college football, one of the most miraculous stories for a school of that size with that little enrollment to do what they did. And one of the reasons he's here is because of that. That was a nice play. There's Hasty again out to the 40-yard line. Greg Allen made the tackle.
Well, you want to talk about a guy that makes you miss. See you later, bye. The nice move. Hasty shows you the quick athleticism and the speed to just leave a defender standing. That's impressive, man. Courtney Arnett.
That's quick.
Wow.
Talk about quick twitch. He's got it. Schrepfer ahead for about a yard, maybe 2. Second down. Good pickup on the first down play, though, by the young man. Gets it out to the 36-yard line, 46-yard line.
Well, the thing about this defense, man, they're not giving up. They're still, are the Jayhawks running and chasing to the ball, trying to stay true to what's defined their success and improvement so far. Wow.
Oh, they're just wide open for him. Wyatt Schrepfer's got to be going, I've never seen this much green grass in my life.
Off guard, power play, and again, this is just not rocket science here. The off guard is pulling from the offside and again allows the big fullback to go up through that. I mean, man, that's just, there was nobody near that. Wow.
Well, the end of the quarter comes. Jim Grobe, by the way, would move over the 500 mark for his career with a victory today. All those years building the Ohio program, then on to Wake Forest, a place that had been just a coach-killing program. He took it to heights never before seen and perhaps never to be seen again. Now he's in control of a Baylor program that is sizzling today on homecoming.
I'm serious.
There you see the score by quarters. This one done really by early second quarter. As we open the fourth, Jermichael Hasty looking strong with those fresh legs after such an outstanding and yet another record-breaking performance, this time in touchdowns for Shock Linwood, getting up to 36.
And again, that's part of the psychology that's going on in that little triune of runners for Baylor. It doesn't matter that they're up here with 49 points. The bottom line is they're competing against one another for starting time. Linwood showed last week that he's the type of guy that can come back and reclaim that form that made him the all-time leading rusher.
Well, looks like you're going to have a false start here.
False start. 76 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
Mo Porter, the right tackle.
Shock
The
Linwood.
guilty party. There's Shock.
Yeah. He really is a very effective runner. He's physical, tough. Learned a very valuable lesson about staying engaged this year. He didn't like being on the bench. He took it personal.
Came into the game 84 yards shy of 4,000. 6th all-time in the Big 12, that would be. And there you see he's 40 yards away from that in the aftermath of the performance today.
Nice.
Wide open for 6. Count it. That is Strickland. That was like taking candy from a baby. Kyle Mayberry, the freshman from Tulsa, Booker T. Washington High School, was burned from the get-go. We've got a flag down at the line of scrimmage.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Number 57 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. Replay second down.
Well, the old Downfield too quickly for the left guard, huh? Tanner Thrift is guilty here.
Al Mayberry, as they say, what you say, Hornets. That's what they call them in Booker T. Washington and Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Look for 57 getting
See,
too
there's
far
the
down.
beat. He's down. There he is right there. Gets a little bit too far down the field.
Yep. That was just a concentration thing. That was not an RPO.
No, it wasn't.
That's not what you normally see that called because of the run pass option plays in the game today. He got a little bored there, Spence. It happens.
That's why you got to stay engaged. I had to stay engaged. I'm going on the vertical route instead of finding the lineman.
Second and 11. Malin, the sophomore, 41, lines up in a power position and takes this catch and then drops it. Yeah, you know, he really wanted it. Hasn't had many opportunities, the youngster. Playing behind veterans like Forbacher and, well, actually, Tecklenburg is a freshman, but a big redshirt freshman that gets a lot of playing time. In fact, had a TD catch earlier this year.
Yeah, you know those little quick hitting pop plays for tight ends, they really love it. And Josh had one opportunity in his hands because usually there's a safety that's left over the middle of the field. You run over that guy.
3rd and 11. Sweep to Lynch on the jet sweep out to the 37-yard line. Maybe we'll actually call it the 38 of Kansas.
Allen
4th
was
down
there.
coming up.
Allen was there to stop. I think Blake Lynch thought he would have a little bit more. And again, just a great defensive play by Allen.
Fourth down and 8 for Zach Smith to negotiate. 2 for 2 today on 4th downs, Baylor. Hastie's in the backfield. Oh, he's got a quick kick. And a pooch, too. I like it. Let's see what kind of bounce it gets.
Wow. Nice.
Oh, that is well done. How about that? And Pooh Strickland, I think, got down there to down it. Wow. Now that's talent. He's all smiles from ear to ear.
That was a
Zach
pitching wedge.
Yeah,
Look
look at Kendall.
spin on it, didn't it? Look at Kendall.
Kendall's like the kid went all Doug Flutie on me there. You guys gonna drop kick one later? What's left? Some days it's your day. That never happens. Coming up, the National League Championship Series. It begins the Dodgers and the Cubbies. Game 1 only on FS1. The telecast sponsored by T-Mobile One. Dramatic wins for both. Cubs eliminating the Giants with that 4-run ninth. The Dodgers defeating the Nationals in that incredible game with Clayton Kershaw earning the save. Kenta Maeda will be on the hill for the Dodgers. He struggled in the divisional series, and John Lester will toe the rubber for Chicago. A lot of people around the world are rooting for the Cubbies to finally break through. Keon Kinner gets it out to the 5. I thought it was really fun. I got back home just in time, Spencer, a couple of Sundays ago to watch Vin Scully call his final Dodgers game at Chavez Ravine, and that was, man, that was special. For those of us in our business, it was as good as it gets.
I just remember the old expression. And so now Saberhagen finds himself in the middle of a hole.
Keon Kinner stopped at the line of scrimmage. When I did the Braves with Ernie Johnson Sr., on occasion I would wait until there were 2 on with 2 out. Right. So I could get in a deuces wild.
Oh, yeah.
2 on, 2 out. 2 and 2. Deuces wild.
Nice.
Vin could say that as well or better than anybody. I just did it as a tribute from time to time.
Absolutely. I mean, I used to do that when I'd listen to the old tapes of Keith Jackson calling our games.
Well,
they'd always call me Little Spencer Tillman.
Little Spencer Tillman. Oh, boy. Yeah.
He's gone.
Well, he's up there on Mount Rushmore with Keith,
yes,
Vin Scully, and called a lot of big-time football games, golf, you name it. He's much more versatile than just calling baseball, but he was the best wordsmith for baseball for more than for 3 generations.
You know, the game of baseball just kind of lends itself to his natural gifts. It alternates between calm and explosive power, and he had command of it and just could paint with words.
He and Dick Enberg, who I had the great pleasure of working with as well with the Padres, they both said goodbye to baseball this year, and we wish them both the best. Trevor White is back deep awaiting this punt. And we got another one that's going to go quite a ways. Boy, I tell you, Cole Moose will be, well, statistically, this is going to be a pretty good day for him. As we used to say in baseball, box score Brando is going to go back to see how I did. Oh, I went 2 for 4. We may have lost, but I had a good day. We'll be right back. 49-7 our score on homecoming here in Waco, Texas. The Baylor Bears are in great shape the rest of the way. How about the Nissan Heisman watch, Spence?
How about your boy Deshaun Watson had the slow start, but 378 passing today. And as far as Lamar Jackson is concerned, a legitimate dual threat. He's the elite guy still. 30 total TDs. I think there's like 109 FBS programs that don't have that many by himself. That guy's a beast. Got Peppers in there, a defensive guy.
I'm glad to see that. He deserves to be a mention at the very least.
It's just tough. I had to go back and look at Woodson's numbers during the year when he won it, and it's a different era. But I want to see more offensive production out of him, then I'll be more firm with that declaration.
This is the junior Wyatt Schrepfer again. 5'10", 205 pounds. Went to the Colorado School of the Mines. Played for old Bob Stitt there. 23 carries, 89 yards in the season coming in. Really interesting story about this young man. He actually got caught mowing the lawn during a tornado. Didn't see it. He was listening to some loud music with his headphones on. Had no idea. Got picked up off the ground, this kid.
Wow.
And lived to tell about it and get in our game today.
That certainly makes him a cut above. I think that's
Schrepfer gets it out to the 35-yard line. You think I miss those, but I actually get them.
I think that's fantastic. If for a millennial get caught working, man, that's a good deal. I'll take that any day.
How about that mouthpiece?
Oh.
It's like he's ready to go. By the way, Stitt is at Montana. He's been there since 2015. Bob Stitt was one of the gurus of this incredible air raid passing game that's out there. And when I had my daily radio show, I had Bob on quite a lot. There's a ball on the ground. Schrepfer dropped it that time. Mouthpiece and all. I believe Kansas got it. They did. Just when we were beginning to talk so nicely about it. Monty Mosby on top of it for the recovery for Kansas.
Yeah, and Anthony Smithson popped it real good, number 9. He just put a textbook tackle there, that head right in there. Helmet on the ball comes out, not secured properly. And so Smithson did a fine job of creating an opportunity. You can see it's textbook right there. They don't coach it anymore. We'll put your helmet on the ball. But that's what they used to do back in the olden days.
A tornado of a different kind he dealt with there.
Yep. Put your hat on the ball. That's what they used to say, Timmy. And he's been doing that a lot. He's a heck of a player and a leader on this stop unit.
Clint Bowen still doing some heavy-duty coaching on those sidelines. This is not an easy time for the program. Gonzalez takes it, taken out of bounds at the 27. We had a nice long conversation, not just with Clint, but also obviously with David Beatty and even Joe DeForest, their special teams coach. There's a lot of positive vibes coming from these guys. They're doing everything in their power to make sure these guys know that the lingering residue of the past need not stay with them from game to game. But they're going to need, Spencer, as Herbert is stopped at the point of attack, they're going to need one of these close calls to go their way to get some of these young guys to finally buy in.
Yeah, but here's the thing I noticed about David Beatty and talking to him. He understands there's an anatomy to the success process, and there's a point at which it's kind of like an iceberg where you don't see the substantive work that's being done. It doesn't show up in the win column, but you can see it on the defensive side of the ball. The statistical categories, the graphic that our crew showed earlier about how they're up there with the Ohio States and the Michigans in tackles for losses. You measure those on the defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
Got to stay away from those plays, though, on the offensive side.
Clay Johnston finally dragged down inside the 15. And it's Carter Stanley who did not want to give up the pick six, and was able to run him down. And same really kind of interception that we saw Ryan Willis throw earlier today.
Well, it was just a three-man rush, so there was no real pressure there. Again, two defenders around him. That's just an ill-advised pass. I mean, sometimes when you're trying to make a 50-50 ball work for you, you've got established relationship with the receiver, and he gives you the ability to warrant making that choice. I don't think that was a quality choice here at all. He just sat on that, squatted, and the ball's headed the opposite direction. That's poor decision by young Carter.
And really the other thing that I noticed, that you give the kid credit for running him down. He's an outstanding athlete, as is Willis, really. But what I noticed about Ryan Willis, and now the coaching between Beatty and Stanley's taking place, is he'll make that one read, Spencer, but I don't see a second. Yep. It's almost like one look, and then you begin to tuck it and think about trying to get something done with your legs.
And believe me, that will show up later when teams start to add that nuance to how they defend him. The cornerback coach will start to say, take a peek inside and look. You can trust it because he settles on his throws.
Yeah.
And when they start to be able to put a beeline on that ball, you're going to see more interceptions, and that's what you want to stay away from. The way to remedy that, Timmy, is to have your ability to flash your head and go another direction to control, either it's a safety or if it's a corner, direct him with your eyeballs if you're the quarterback.
I like what I'm seeing there on the sidelines.
Yep, that's a conversation there. He's not ridiculing the guy. He knows he's young, and that's coaching right there.
4 interceptions today, returned 65, 54, and 51. And there was another one beyond that, and obviously one was a pick six for Reed. Schrepfer trying to tote it inside the 10, gets it down to about the 7-yard line.
And Coach Beatty is an emotional guy and a very passionate guy, but when he coaches players up, he finds that balance between emphatically making your point, but yet patting them on the butt after that chewing's over with.
Yeah, tough love.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. 45 years old, had a really solid career as an assistant coach, but his roots in Texas as a high school coach too is very much a part of who he is, and one of the reasons the recruiting has improved, and we are seeing some younger talent that clearly is going to get a lot more playing time and make this Kansas team better in the years to come. Look at this kid. He won't go down. Schrepfer says, I'm just going to make you bulldog with me all the way to the ground. Marquise Roberts finally gets him there. The senior from Marietta, Georgia, the South Carolina transfer. 4th down and a yard to go.
Yeah, just to finish a thought on Coach Beatty, I think it was last summer when he and his wife and family were on a vacation to a fun center, and one of the young kids that was attending slipped into a little area and then hurt himself significantly. In fact, but for the fact that Coach Beatty was there, the kid likely would have lost his life. And just to watch his reaction and talking about that whole scenario, it gives you some sense of who he is outside of the football field.
I'm not sure Schrepfer made it.
No.
I think he's short. And by the way, I thought that was a marvelous shot Doug Freeman got, our director, of Jim Grobe giving Kendall Briles a hug. He didn't have his headsets on. He said, yeah, go ahead. You can go for it here.
Throw me a bone.
The Baylor line and that man's front line and perimeter have done the job today. FS1 college football is presented by Verizon. A sun-swept day in Waco, Texas. And Baylor leading it 49-7. Stanley remains in at quarterback, and Carter stopped behind the line of scrimmage again. I don't know how many times. It's a lot. Okay, they've begun drives with negative plays. The Baylor penetration has just been outstanding today and has left them with many a 2nd and 3rd and long situation.
Yeah, well, for the most part, they've done it with Ira Lewis playing what we call a zero technique over the nose, over the center, and KJ Smith, Craig Roberts at that right defensive end position, and all 3 of them have just dominated.
Khalil Herbert gets it back to the line of scrimmage.
Coach Beatty's going to figure it out, though, Timmy. I've got confidence in him.
You know, I do too. We've seen him enough, and they have been, again, in those positions to get that big breakthrough victory. But I think all too often this is what happens in the aftermath of those moments. Today was going to be one of those tests of whether you psychologically could go on the road and rebound from a gut-wrenching loss, and they failed. Stanley's pass is incomplete. That was a beautiful defensive play there. Really full extension. Keegan Brewer, 17, was the intended receiver.
Blake Lynch did a nice job.
Lynch did that was just a wonderful defensive job by Davion Hall, number 2, who got the job done there with full extension, the safety.
Well, that's textbook right there, man. Not much room to navigate back here, Timmy.
No. Trevor White. Spun down at the 41-yard line.
Nice.
Baylor defense giving their all. 52 yards on the boot, 14-yard return. How about that by Davion Hall?
Wow. Sweet.
We welcome you back. 49-7 our score. Up here in the booth, the guy with the binoculars is Brett Bender, our spotter, who is 45 years young today. So happy birthday, my friend. Legendary broadcaster for a father. Scott Alexander by my side also, our able statistician. I know Gary is proud of you, making sure I don't misstep during the course of the day. Gary Bender, one of the great legends of the business. Called a few of your games, Spencer.
Absolutely.
He did. He called a lot of your games with Oklahoma.
A lot of great Nebraska games.
Yep.
Holding. Number 50 offense. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
That's Tyree Simmons. Let's go back now for a game break at Mike Hill.
Guys, 49-7 where you are. Who would have expected a similar score in Knoxville? Another non-offensive touchdown for Alabama, too. Eddie Jackson, 79-yard punt return here. It's the 11th non-offensive TD for the Tide this season. Second today. Vols ain't coming back in this one. They're down 49-10 in the fourth.
That's what they do. That's what they do. They score in every phase of the game. They do it with special teams. They do it with their defense. They had one again today on defense. New quarterback into the game here for Baylor. And that's Dwyer Busey taking it ahead. Preston Hurd is now checked in at quarterback, number 16. From Bel Air, Texas.
The Cardinal.
That's 3 quarterbacks now that both teams have used. You wonder why my board and depth chart gets larger every season. I need more than Brett Bender's binocs. 2nd and 17. So Hurd keeps it that time. Speaking of Alabama, that's the AP top 10. Clemson got a huge scare. Ohio State's got that big one with the Badgers at Camp Randall later tonight. Washington is, I think, the posh pick from the summer, Spencer, that everybody now knows about.
Well, Luke has been on a tear at quarterback, and I think that's what separates them. And what separates this bunch right here are the 2 men leading those respective teams. Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, as coaches go, they tend to fit in specific categories. Those 2 create one, and there are very few that know how to do it the way they do it.
Well, Jake Browning has done a remarkable job for Washington. You know, I'd be interested to see how you mentioned Luke. I think Luke Falk of Washington State is getting UCLA tonight, and the question on Rosen and his health, I think, is a concern. We may be looking at an Apple Cup at the end of the year for the title of the Pac-12, and maybe a game, at least in Washington's case, that could mean the potential college football playoff opportunity.
Yeah, there's not a conference that has seen as dramatic a shift in terms of the power structure in such a short period of time.
Yeah, you're right. Look where Oregon is now versus 2 years ago in Mariota. Another quick kick. I think every quarterback they have has to be able to do this. Preston Hurd puts this one down inside the 10 to about the 7-yard line.
A little English on that one, too.
Yeah, I think when you go to the quarterback camps in the summer at Baylor, you got to be able to do this.
You do.
Or Kendall says, I'm sorry, we have no room for you.
Everybody's got something in their quarterback camp, whether it's a trash can they put at the other end, rings where they, kind of break off, and when they're doing all of their routes and game plan and stuff, they have a little fun. They pitch and catch like this all the time. We used to have one where we hold the ball oblong and throw it through the air like a knuckleball and try to catch it. It's not as easy as it looks. This is fun, though.
Well, got to look at Seth Russell, who's now become a finalist for all the major awards.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all of them.
The Ninus Award
Maxwell,
recently.
Walter Camp, Davey O'Brien, Werfel. You know, Werfel's, as you know, is a leadership award. And he has been that. Out to the 13-yard line goes Keon Kenner.
Well, you know, a lot of times we use that word leadership loosely, but if there is a quarterback in the country that has had a leadership context, it's him. It's Seth Russell. What he's been through, what he's endured physically, surgery, coaches, on-field issues, and as a mission-critical quarterback position, you know, you need stability there to do your job effectively. But he stood tall the whole time and delivered, both as a leader on the field and off.
One for 13 on third downs today for Kansas. We'll see what Carter Stanley can do. Young man from Vero Beach. He's going to call his own number. I think he may have picked it up. I think yes, it is. He got the second third down conversion of the day, did Carter Stanley. I tell you, I think Ohio State may get a battle tonight at Camp Randall. I've got, at the very least, Wisconsin. It's not going to be some 59-0 Big Ten championship type game of 2014.
Yep.
On the curl, that pass is caught by Harrell. Chase, freshman from Huffman, Texas.
I think Wisconsin has been a surprise for a lot of folks, but I think when I saw what Urban Meyer was able to do in Norman, Oklahoma, with a very young defense, they grew up in a hurry.
Oh, they did.
In that contest.
And Barrett, I think, with everybody else gone, has asserted himself again as the true leader of that team.
No question.
They almost had too many outstanding talents at quarterback in the aftermath of that national title season. Kenner is stopped behind the line.
I'm still amazed when I think about how deep they were in the Big Ten. We've got Braxton Miller in Houston, Texas, playing for the Texans. And remember, he was a two-time Big Ten MVP at one point. They had so much talent at the quarterback position.
Well, as we prepare to wrap this one up, I want to make sure that we get this in. It won't be a headline tomorrow, but Baylor will become bowl eligible after this win for the 7th consecutive year.
Did it quietly.
Yeah. And they're going to hope that in the next week with an open date, little news is made in other areas of Baylor as a university. Boy, they just absolutely moved this second half along. It flew by less than an hour. And for that man, Jim Grobe, his 116th win. He goes over 500 as a head coach with a 49-7 win over the Kansas Jayhawks. That's the story from here. For Spencer Tillman, Eric Billigmeyer, our producer, Doug Freeman, our director. This is Tim Brando saying so long. Let's get you back now to Los Angeles with more college football coverage. Here's Rob Stone.